Yeah, yo. Sel Berdie, we're doing it, bro.
We're on.
I'm pretty excited, man. Like we were just saying, it's been a minute in the making, and then Miles would have been on probably about a year ago.
Yeah, man. That was where I got introduced to the whole podcast that you were doing and everything like that. Had no idea how big it was. And then he went on it, and Joshy's been on it, Geordie. Yeah, man. It's sick.
Yeah, there's been a couple of good ones. Well, I've been excited to talk to you. You're a dude that, well, for everybody listening, you're Miles' partner in Hype Group and Combat and Macro Kitchen and probably fucking 20 other things that you guys have got going on. But yeah, since I met Miles and then we sort of started working together and then sponsoring the show, you're a dude that I kind of have always just enjoyed our chats, and I knew that when we were going to do this, it was going to be good. Plus, when I did your podcast, I really enjoyed it as well. So.
Yeah, man, that was cool. That felt like the rookie being schooled, where you came on and, yeah, your podcast was sick, and then I'd listen to other people on there. So it was awesome. It was awesome getting to have you on, and obviously the network is sick, man. Everyone's getting tighter and tighter with everything we're doing. I know we're going through some shit now, but yeah, everyone's working together, so it's really cool.
Yeah, it's cool that, I mean, me and Josh talked about it in the podcast, but it's like there just seems like there's a little bit of a hub that's kind of being filled out, and you guys are doing your thing in the MMA world and then the media stuff, and I feel like there's some really cool shit that's going on. Obviously, it feels like everything's, I don't know, like whether shit's on hold right now because of this, or like if we were just saying if it's going to be like this new world. Like I'm not sure that things can just go back to how they were.
Yeah, man, it's hard to imagine things going back to how they were. It's man, people like genuinely, like we were talking about, are so on edge, and I know that someone like you or me and probably people we hang around with are not that way inclined, just naturally because of what we do, and the people we hang around are similar, so we're kind of just like know that shit gets hairy, you buckle down, you get through shit, you'll come out the other side better. There's always going to be a positive lining, but generally a lot of people can't see past today, which is terrifying, and they're not being told, apart from the media just filling them with more negative, that I can understand how it's hard for them to view it in any other light. But man, there is good that will come from this, as much as there's so much tragic shit that's going on. There is good stuff that you have to think like that. If not, you're going to get consumed by all the negativity that's sitting around you at this stage.
I feel like for people that are listening, and this is something I really, really, really try to do in my life, is whenever something negative happens to me, I go, okay, what was the last like big negative thing that happened to me that I can remember?
Yeah.
I just fucking stop myself in my tracks, and I'm like, when I didn't get let into America. Yeah. That was like my last, like when I was just like, fuck, like everything just like shit hit the fan. One of those moments that just like stops you and rattles you. So much good shit come out of that.
Yeah, man.
So it's like, if you get into that, like anytime something like this happens where you're like, oh, I lost my job because of this, you're like, all right, when was the last crazy shit that went down? What are the positives that come out of it?
Man, and couldn't agree more. It's so true. And I think when you looked at it like that, and other people look at it when they think about that really bad negative thing that they can possibly think about, they'd probably realize that from that something pretty fucking awesome happened. Yeah. Right off the back of it. It may have been a month, it may have been 6 months, but it led to something pretty amazing happening in their life because there was some adversity there. And when you've got some adversity to deal with, generally the way humans are designed, and if you do it the right way, you'll come out doing something pretty great at the end of it. So I just encourage everyone to hang in there whilst we ride this shit out. Well,
the thing is like, if you have that attitude and you adopt that philosophy that I try and adopt, what you end up doing is you end up living like each day with the intent that you're waiting for the thing to get better. Yeah. So there's like, it's very hard to be like, if you really commit to that strategy, it's very hard to be consumed by negative things because you're like, oh, well, yeah, I mean, that's a product of this good thing that will happen. Yeah. And it's like, you have to really be able to look at the things and draw positives from them, I guess. So that maybe it's a thing where not everyone can do that, because a lot of people aren't even aware of the positives that came out of situations.
For sure.
But if you can do that, and then and the opposite is true as well, is if you look at it like it's negative, you just end up like the next day happens and you're negative, and then the next day happens and then you're negative, and then the next day happens. It's very hard to be like open to something positive happening when you're stuck in such like a tumultuous place.
It is, man. And also I guess the hard thing is we live in probably, if not the best place in the world, has to be up there with one of the very best places in the world. So people running into shit situations is fairly rare. Like you go outside today, it's 30 degrees, it's sunny. I drove past earlier before, people were still surfing, still on the beach. Like ultimately our version of what is negative is very different to a lot of the rest of the world. And I encourage people to also think about that this is probably the first time within Australian circles where there's been something that's just been so drastic that it's forced you to go inside. I've lived in places where staying inside was just a law. It was just like there's curfew. You
Where
go
was
out,
that?
Papua New Guinea.
Yeah, I was going to say, was that up in PNG?
Yeah, in Ley. So I guess I'm fortunate, and people may think it's unfortunate that you have to live in places like that, but I'm fortunate that I have that
point of reference.
Yeah, that perspective of, for my life between 5 till 10, that was, you go to school, you get home, you're behind a gate, and then there's curfew that starts at 6:30. If you choose to go outside of that, it's not that you have a risk of getting a virus, it's just you have a risk of getting killed. It's not they're very different extremes. And I think when people realize that diseases and things, so many countries are used to people dying from diseases every day. Africa, it's second nature, that malaria will more than likely kill off some member of your family. It's killed off a member of my family. Like it's not it's not to look at it as in a case of like poor Africa or anything, but it's just the reality of life in a lot of places, not just Africa, in Asia, in parts of Europe, it's everywhere. So we're just so fortunate that it comes as such a shock when something like this hits Australia, because even when there was the stuff with SARS and all the other types of stuff,
seem pretty removed.
We were very isolated for it. This is the first time in my life that I can remember where we've been hit by something, and even with that being hit, what's our death rate at the moment as of today?
Say, like, I get that's like kind of my next question is like, how bad is it even? Like, because, and I don't know whether I'm just fucking ignorant for thinking it, but it's like, I don't see it being as bad as what, like, in terms of the cultural effect it's having. Like, where I can see us changing, and I should, like, I mean, I said this to you before, but disclaimer for people listening, like, I've tried to stay out of it as much as possible. Yeah. Like, my philosophy through this whole thing was, it's probably going to be hard because of factors that are outside of my control, and I just want to only listen to like the government updates in terms of the laws and the shit that's changing, and then how that can affect my life and my business. But outside of that, like, I don't really want to know. I feel like if it is this real crazy shit that I need to know, and like, my mum will be like, don't go outside, and then everyone will be like, okay, it's really bad, it's killing this many people. But it's like, I guess I don't know whether I'm ignorant to think that the reaction from society seems worse than the actual effects of a virus. And I feel like my reasoning for that is that I have like zero trust in what the media would say. And I think that, like, I could be totally wrong to the point where, like, dude, you should really worry about this is blah blah blah, but am I wrong in sitting here and saying like, well, fuck, how was I supposed to know? Because for the last whole life that I've lived, the media has been full of shit and so much, and like way more than not, in recent times. Like, it's worse than ever. Like, this is almost like, in my mind, it's like the boy who cried wolf thing. I'm like, you guys are gonna have to fucking really prove it to me that I should stay inside and I should do this and I should do that, because you fucks have just been lying forever.
It's true, man. It's a catch. I'm caught in like the biggest catch-22, because if it was me, like if I was single, living by myself, no wife, no kids, no case in point yourself, I'd probably be this mad vigilante fucking cruising around the Cape at night doing all this stuff, still training and all that. But when it became, I guess, real in that aspect is like seeing like proper level of fear like instilled in my parents, my wife. My kids don't understand it. Like my son understands that he's restricted from doing things because of a virus, which is probably the hardest thing to explain to like a 5-year-old, because you can't even explain it to an adult.
I was going to say, I'm barely fucking...
So it becomes this catch-22 that I understand the precautions that are out there. The hard thing is as you said about the media, because they've filled everyone, they've gassed everyone up for so long that people are naturally looking at it just going, nah, fuck you. Like, how much?
Well, you get two extremes.
Yeah.
You either get the people that are like bunkered fucking down doomsday preppers buying toilet paper, and then those people further fuel the people like me that are going, fuck you guys.
Yeah. So it's like a huge, and usually with that, it's somewhere in the middle.
I was going to say,
and I'm
trying to be in the middle.
Yeah, and that's usually where I try to sit, that it can't be too far left and it can't be too far right. But what I do know is there is real reason to be concerned for people in certain countries, areas, environmental factors, because simply put, I honestly believe this, just like the flu and just like with most normal diseases, everyone is going to get it. I sit there and say that to friends, family, missus and everyone, and they like almost, I can feel them like tighten up. Like, what do you mean? Because they almost think that's death. Like, they, in the way the media is portrayed that, it's like, you get this, you're dead. It's almost like how it is. But I'm like, but now sit and look at the facts of what that means if you do get it. You live in Australia, the best healthcare system in the world, probably. We have X amount of cases, but look at our mortality rate. Look at other places that have X amount of cases. Look at their mortality rate. Completely, vastly different, simply because, and you know Big Mo, obviously. Like, I look at people and admire people and chat with people that are actually front line talking about what's going on. And when you chat with Mo and people like that, his thing is, this is the process if someone has it. They get checked into a hospital. If they are fit and healthy, this is their process. If they're not, this is their process. The big rush on ventilators and everything like that is simply, if there's enough ventilators, you're going to be fine. Even elderly, like the elderly people that they're really worried about. If you have a pre-existing nasty, dire medical condition, you're probably going to die. But that would have happened anyway, regardless
whether you got the flu
or whether it was something else.
Staph.
Exactly. Whatever the disease that it got you at that stage, that you were already in that teetering type of period.
You're so susceptible to anything.
You were going to get hit with something that was going to get you. It just so happens that this happens to be around right now. That's another thing, unfortunately, that can get you. But generally speaking, that was going to be the nature of it anyhow. If you're fit, you're healthy, you've looked after your immune system for a long period of time, and you've done all the right things in the lead up, like I have tried to over the last 20 odd years, really try to look after myself as best as possible. I sit there with confidence going, yes, I probably will get it, but 100% I'm going to beat it. If I do get it, I'd like to think that 99.99% of people I hang around and I'm involved with do the same type of thing in terms of looking after their health and well-being. So rather than everyone going, you get it, you're done, it's like, maybe use it to look at it as a time to, this is the shock you probably needed to look after yourself. Knowing that something can get you. If these same people, if they lived in, let's just call it Africa, and they got malaria, they would get done by that. It just so 100%. Happens that malaria never made it here, and our health system is obviously so good, but you drop that same person, it's the same reason why you have to get needles to go to all these African and Asian countries.
Because
it'll get you. Something else will get you. It's just so happened we've just added another thing to the plate of diseases, but at this stage, this is one that's now getting people everywhere.
Yeah.
That it's almost like a global, well, it is. It's a global pandemic and disease, whereas a lot of things used to be isolated. This is the first one, and it's the one the media can grab hold of.
Yeah, well, it's a brand name, dude. Like, it's literally Corona.
Yeah.
Like, it's so fucking easy to sell as well. You know,
it's,
like... That's it, yeah. And I mean, that's the thing, you know, you look at, and again, I just sound like one of those fucking dumb, ignorant fucks, but it's like, you look at how many people the flu does kill a year, and who do they kill? Oh, it's people that are susceptible, it's people that are elderly, it's like my fucking grandma died last year, and she was old, and she was in hospital, and then she fucking got the flu.
Exactly.
And she fucking died.
Yeah.
This shit has been happening and we've never got rid of the flu.
Yeah.
We've got a flu vaccine, but the flu, you still get the flu.
Exactly.
So it's like, I just wonder, like, why are we treating this one just this so crazy, and the response that it's got. And it's almost like, I think the thing that's more shocking to me, like, I don't know, maybe my head's just around the fact that I could die of a disease one day.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't scare me in that. Maybe I'm just not scared of that thing, because I'm like, fucking people die all the time.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen people die, and you know what I mean. But it's like this. It's just, I think it's more shocking to me the way that it's just like spread through culture.
Yeah.
And it's affected more people culturally than the disease has by, or the virus has by fucking so much more. Like, every single person is just like all in on like this, you know, cultural movement of coronavirus, and it literally is a meme right now, and that to me is what's really shocking.
I think it's taken hold because this is the first time that usually money can buy people's way out of a lot of things, and your status or wherever you live and type of thing. This is the one that you can't escape it. Like, they've looked at it, and you can be extremely poor, you can be extremely rich. If you come into contact with someone, it's not like a thing where you can get around it. It's like you just happen to be wrong place, wrong time, or this got spread, or you happen to be on that cruise ship, or you were on that plane, or you were at that club, where there is that level of like the movie, that Contagion, where you can just get it and it won't discriminate. Whereas it felt like a lot of the other ones, it was like, oh, it's isolated here, it's isolated there. The rate of drama and issues and all that type of stuff, like mortality, also because the media has been able to, as you say, brand it and show graphs and infographics and this and all these different types of things, that the media obviously led the drive to shut these things down one by one, in terms of whether it's sports or whether it's entertainment or whatever it is. And no one's saying that they shouldn't have shut that. I'm definitely not a proponent that everyone should have carried on life the way it was before, but I am a proponent in also showing that what is actually really going on, like opening the news every time with another 2 cases of people, let's use Australia, of people died overnight or whatever. Maybe open the news with, we have the least amount of deaths anywhere in the world in ratio compared to the amount of people that are getting it. Like, give people something.
Well, the thing, like, even to go 2 people died overnight of coronavirus, you could say 0.000000001% of Australians last night were killed by coronavirus.
Exactly.
And people would be like, so what, no one?
Yeah.
Like, no, it was 2 people.
Yeah.
Oh, how old were they? Were they sick?
Exactly.
It's a way easier fucking conversation to
give
have.
people some context. Because if you don't, and this is what's happening right now that I'm trying my best to look at it, is contextually look at everything and say, how bad is it? Okay, it's at this stage and this is what's happened, but in the broad scope of it, what does that mean for, firstly, look at my family, look at my close friends and my circle. That means that we're going to get through this. It's not the apocalypse like everyone's saying. Yes, we are all going to lose money. Yes, there are going to be struggles. But if I look at that percentage and again, I'm only referring to my close circle of people that I really care about, because that's my community and who I hold dear to myself. It means that we're going to be fine. And that means probably your other community, whoever may be listening to that, is going to be fine too, because let's face it, your audience is probably around Australia somewhere, most likely. For those that are in New York or something that are listening to this, completely different story. I understand that it's moving at a rapid rate and all the different things that are happening, and yeah, your heart goes out to everyone that's in a worse position. But like every other virus or any other really bad situation, when an earthquake hit X, they were in the wrong place, wrong time too, and they lost 400 people instantly like that. Just,
all the tsunamis in Indonesia.
Exactly. Like there's always something.
Yeah.
This is just the one that has like
affected everyone.
That's captured everyone. And I understand that it's like petrifying for particularly the Western world to go, a disease can kill me. There hasn't been that since Spanish flu
in the 20s
and that type of stuff. So it is, I'm not dismissing it to say that you shouldn't be concerned about it, but try outside of the media. When the media puts something out there, and I only listen to it once on a Sunday at 5 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. and then I turn it off because I just need to know what's happening, but I don't need to be fueled daily by all this. I just find out what I need to know, and then from there I'll do my own research to make sure that it's in line with, they've said this, 20 people have died in Australia, how many people have got it?
And most of them come from that cruise ship anyway, right?
Massive amount, man. Like,
and who goes on fucking cruise ships? Old cunts.
Have you ever been on a cruise ship?
No.
Neither.
That's what I'm saying. Who did a fucking bit? I think Bill Burr did like a comedy bit.
It would have been
where he goes like, if we want to do like a population cleansing, just like sell tickets to a fucking cruise ship and then put them out at sea and then fucking kill them all and then just keep filling up with whoever the fuck wants to go on cruises, because like, they're the fucking kind of people that are going to get coronavirus.
It was, bro. It was that black and white one that was on Netflix.
Fucking funny shit, eh?
That was funny. But, man, if you want to do yourself a favour during this period, I've never been heavier on comedians' podcasts because they put shit in such good perspective. Yeah. The best one that I can easily recommend over every other one that I've been sharing with people is Joey Diaz's Church of What's Happening Now.
Yeah. He's like kind of wigged out by the corona thing, though.
He is kind of wigged out by it because he's just old and germaphobe and everything like that. But his opening lines every Monday in regards to the corona thing is, there's also the shift of people's mentality going, hold on, we're in this cross section where it means that I don't have to work and the government will still pay me X, and I've always been kind of 50-50 about my job and what I'm doing. I'm just going to take the option of waiting for my check to come in the mail, and they've told me it's going to be 6 months. There's no legislation that said that or whatever, but they'll choose to take the easy option rather than take the option of, there's jobs out there, man.
Bro, this is like one of the things that really, like, I was having conversations with people, and like one person in particular that was like, they've got very simple jobs, and I don't have many people that I hang out with that have like simple jobs. Yeah. And it was just like a kind of deal, and that's like, oh, you know, I think we just need to do this 2-week shutdown. I'm like, you don't know what that means. Yeah. Don't say that. Like, what the fuck do you know about a 2-week shutdown? You don't know what that's going to do to your economy. Yeah. You don't know what that's going to do to the global economy. You don't know what that's going to do to like your job going forward. If you fucking want this, you're fucking retarded. Yeah. Like, I'm not saying that, oh, it's crazy to do the shutdown, but to the fact that people want to take time off their job, fuck you. Like, you don't want to be that person. Yeah. You want to be working as long as you can. Yeah. And there's even people that have like, next door to where I get my hair cut, I normally, like, my barber, Todd, I'll go get a coffee and then I'll sit in his chair and I'll drink a coffee the whole time, basically. Yeah. And they'd fucking closed. And I was like, why did they close? The guy, I ended up just going kind of next corner. And then he's like, yeah, man, she just said that, like, she was going to sack everyone and just close and then just, like, do a deal with her landlord and, like, get money from the government. I'm like,
so crazy.
There's nothing that says that she's going to get anything. Yeah. Like, just, if you have to let people go, let them go and just make coffees by yourself.
It's
and then figure out something with your landlord. At least you've stayed open.
Yeah.
I've still been paying my fucking rent and mortgages and shit. Like,
man,
that attitude scares me.
Oh man, I was like, because having businesses, I was like, this is a massive
you guys
50.
have staff.
Yeah, it's like a massive 50-50 where you instantly saw it. It was like 50% of people are like, man, what's going to happen tomorrow? I really need to buckle down and work hard here. And I'm so grateful for my job, and for those you thank. But then there's the other 50 that are just like, ooh, how different is that from me just sitting at home doing nothing and playing it's
You're
not
sitting
safe.
there like this.
Yeah, waiting with your hands out type
I
of
don't
thing.
ever want to be on my knees like that.
Oh man,
Fuck that.
It's a crazy situation, and that's like when Joey Diaz said, if you're his comment is in relation to the American system. It's probably easy to get money from the government in Australia, but he was just like, man, if you're sitting there waiting for a government check, you have better chance of getting raped by 9 Chinese people that have the virus than you do of getting the check. He was just going off, going, get back to work. Do what you can. No one's saying stop. They're saying be cautious. They're saying be careful. Do your best within the environment that you're given. All the stuff you're saying is like the government said, do this, do that. I do wish the government was more black and white within. When people were saying to me, do you want a lockdown, do you want this, I said I just want a clean decision, because I can always live with a decision, right or wrong. So when this is all hairy and they're saying we are going to shut down, we're not going to shut down, you can go to your barber but you can't go to your mate's wedding, you can do this but you can't do that, I was just going, this is not good for anyone, because you're leaving people to their own devices to just go, oh, I'll do this but I won't go to work, but I'll tell my boss to fuck off because I don't have to go to work, but I do have a job and he has to pay me, but I can do him for unfair dismissal because I haven't, like, it was all so hectic and weird. But my whole thing is, if you can provide to yourself, to your family, to your community, and be of service to everyone, why wouldn't you? Yeah. Like, why would you take the option to go, someone has to pay for this?
We're all paying for this shit.
Like I was saying when we were chatting before we got in here and we were talking about it, I was never worried about me when all those announcements were made. I was worried about my kids just going, man, we're already at 30% tax rate. If you're lucky, a lot of people fall into the 40%, and then upwards from there. What's it going to be like for our kids when they just throw out a thing of going, well, there's $1 trillion that's available and you don't have a job, you got sacked, go here, 1,500. A lot of these people could either swallow their pride or whatever it is and go, man, I can do stack shelves at Woolies. I can go and do this other job that may not be as good as what I was on, that was really cushy, but it'll tie me over until this period of time. That would prevent that. People's natural mentality right now here, I feel, what's the scary part is swaying towards the opposite. Swaying towards, well, they said if I don't have this, I can go and get $1,500. So why don't I just go and get $1,500? Fortunately for me, the people I hang around with, 99% of them are the other way, where they're just like, man, fuck that. Let's keep working. Let's find opportunities. Let's keep doing our best for everyone. Like, why wouldn't you? If you can, because there are genuinely people that really can't work. Yeah. Like for them, you 100% it makes sense. Exactly. You want even more for the people that genuinely cannot do anything because that's all they can do, and the government has forced complete closure upon their livelihood and income. I get that. But for other people that have a way around it, like, why wouldn't you? I just don't understand. I will never for the life of me understand why you would take the option of going, fuck it. Like, I can keep doing something, but I'll choose to do nothing to get paid. It just, I would squirm every time I receive that check, or I don't even know how do you get it? Do they just deposit into your bank account?
The thing that really fucking frustrates me is that, like, people have this idea, and it's probably because we were born into a good society. I was. You come from a different place than I do.
Nah, man, I'll be honest with you. I was born in Melbourne. my parents weren't, my dad was literally first generation from Ghana, came here with $30 and some clothes, and he made it happen, like through fucking pure grit, hard work, perseverance and everything. But I never missed a meal. Like, sure, I didn't have much money as a kid or anything like that, and I had hand-me-downs from Sel Berdie. That's a good living, to be honest. Like, I was born into Australia, so I never, people often say, oh, it must have been hard for you growing up. It definitely wasn't.
I'd say, though, that the path you would have had, objectively speaking, would have been more difficult for somebody that is the, like, son of an immigrant. You know what I mean? Like, it is a different time. Then you lived away, like, you experienced, like, different things living away. For sure, the experiences were different, and for sure, how you grow up is different. I definitely don't refer to it as being harder, just probably you have a different view on how things operate, and but that speaks to your personality too. Yeah, you could have the same person that would have gone through the exact same experiences that would complain about how hard it was. True. So I guess it's a perspective. Yeah, thing. It is a perspective thing. But I mean, in terms of, like, I don't have a idea past what people tell me of, like, how hard it was to build the culture and society that I was born into. Yeah. You know, and it is similar for you as well. Like, we're all only restricted to our lifetime of, like, we know what we were born into. Yeah. That it's like, we have a fucking great country. Like, we do have one of the best countries in the world. It is one of the best to live in. We've got, like, all the fucking boxes. Like, we're in the top 5 for pretty much everything that is positive. For sure. And it's like, we've got that because people worked fucking hard. Yeah. Like, really, 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 really hard. And, like, they worked hard through wars. They worked hard through depressions. They worked hard. They had to. Yeah. They had to do that. And it's like, that's why we get to this point in society where it's like we have a good, strong, stable society that cares for people. But then something like this happens, and it worried me to just see the amount of people that had that attitude. I'm like, hey guys, you're all signing up for the end of a good society. Yeah. Like, you're signing up for a fucking shit society now. If this is the way that you want to go, you are crippling us. Yeah. Like, you're taking our society out at the fucking knees. That's the long and the short of it. Because after the war, in the Great Depression, people had to fucking go to work and do shit jobs for fuck all money that they didn't want to do, and then they had to rebuild society. Yeah. And, like, you look at China. China's probably the economic powerhouse of the world right now. Yeah. They have been the world's fucking shitting ground for, like, a century, maybe more. And then it's like, their people have just eaten the shit. Yeah. And they've done the fucking work. They've built all of our clothes. They've built our fucking shoes. That's true. They've done everything. And now, off the back of that hard work, their society is in a fucking super strong position. That's true. And it's like, I'm just worried for, like, our culture as a whole, the way that people can be so quick to just go, like, spit the fucking dummy, drop the heat. And I'm just like, I look at it, I'm like, man, we have to contribute. Like, there is no easy way out of this situation. And, like, that money from the government, it's like, that's your money. Right. That's your money. And there's a part of me that goes, oh, I want to fucking take that money, because I've never got anything back from the government except for, I guess, the basic services that everyone does. But I've never got money from the government. Yeah. So I'm like, fuck, that'd be nice. Yeah. But it's not my money. It's everybody else's money. Exactly, man. It's crazy. It's also, it's like one of those weird things where you're almost like, putting in fight analogy, like, you're just not answering the bell. Like, it's just like you're in this fight. Whichever way anyone wants to look at it, like, life is a fight to a certain extent. Some parts of it are easy, some parts of it are hard. But as soon as it got hard, society's just gone. Parts of society have gone. I'm just not going to answer the bell. Like, I'm just going to sit here and we'll just see what happens from here. Like, it's such an easy thing to get trapped in. And the thing that's so frightening is, like, you could imagine around Australia, everyone sitting at their TV on Sunday, just like, call it 20 million people. I know that it's mainly adults watching TV or whatever, and just looking at this. And I was just thinking about how connected all of us are via the internet and everything, and just, like, picturing all these brains listening to him say $1,500 a fortnight. And then everyone. And I was just thinking of
all the parts of all around Australia, everyone just going, like some people cheering, some people going, we are so fucked right now. Some people going, wow, like literally like signing their resignation letter for work, like all these mixed signals of like what people would be feeling. And when you really, really think about it, how many people would have thought of that as a negative? When you think of it, like there's not too many people. And that's scary. That's when I was like, I sat down and I thought to myself, how many other people are going to think that this isn't the smartest decision? And again, like I was saying before, at least it was definitive. They haven't written the legislation. I know that's Wednesday, but at least it was definitive that this is what's going to happen. Like I said, I can live with any decision as long as it's made and it's law, and then everyone can move forward for it. So now I know that's what it is, but I was like, is that the right decision? A lot of me was saying probably not, but we'll live with it because that's the way it's going to be. But if there's a way to foster people to understand that, like what you were referring to, we can't possibly think that is going to pull us out of a hole. The only thing that
puts us in a hole. Literally does.
The only thing that will ever get anyone, I don't care what you're doing, I don't care what position you're in, to get out of a hole is to fight. Hard work. There's just no other way than to go, fuck, I got to find some dog in me and I've got to find a way to fight my way out of this. It doesn't matter what the application is. It can be Corona, it could be struggling to get through an exam, it could be anything. Like whatever it is, the only way you'll get out of a shitty, sticky situation is to find a way to fight out of it. And my big concern about this whole thing was that's virtually like waving a white flag within the fight to say the fight's over. We surrender. We're going to print this money. That's going to cause the dollar to do, we know what it's going to do. It's already where it is. And we'll work it out later. Like we'll resign now, but we'll work this out once this virus is all over.
Which it never will be because it's a fucking, like what virus have we ever got rid of completely?
So with that in mind, I'm hoping, and man, with that said, they've always done it in stages. So there may be another stage now that they've sat down and thought about it, that will implement things within this legislation that says, rewards the people that said, if you continued to work through this period and provided X for employees or provided X for your boss, or you've been shown to work for X period of time and have never taken off the government, as you've said, or have never done these things and never been a drain on society, we're going to reward you with X. That will stimulate people to go, fuck, this hard work does pay off. It's hard for people. I can understand why it'd be hard for people to go, does it pay off? Because a kid could be sitting there going, I've been grafting, got out of uni, I've been grafting, or I've got a trade and doing all this and I'm still an apprentice.
I was going to say, that's kind of where the attitude comes from. There's like, you get that, in the same way that I have like that distrust of the media, you do also have it of the government. And it's sort of like, it's so deep and so layered on so many different levels, but it's like you have that disdain for the government because, you know, they sort of just don't seem to give a fuck, or you don't see the fruits of what you sort of pay for when it comes to where your money goes or whatever. Or you're that guy that you just described, and you don't really have much of like a feeling of trust towards the government. And I think that going back to like that no definitive answer, I kind of respected Scott Morrison in a way for not just pulling the trigger. And he got a lot of flack for being behind, but at least to me I was like, because the problem is like, and even Donald Trump in some of the tweets that I have seen from him is about like, he's talking about the election. It's like, fuck the election, bro.
Sorry,
like you could literally like, you could call it off and say, we're just not going to do it. We're going to keep the same government until we get through this, and we're just going to try and work together. That's like the boss move. But he's still thinking about that because he's a fucking president and he wants to stay the president. I can at least respect Scott Morrison for not like healing to public pressure, because the public pressure was coming from the half or however many percent it is that does want to fucking give up, because you can't, as a leader of a society, even if it's a vocal majority that does want to give up and just does want to fucking check, and then we'll figure it out later.
Yeah.
The sign of a good leader is a dude that doesn't want to bow to that.
For sure.
And I think some of the stuff that he was doing was just like, I just want to appease these fuckwits.
Yeah.
And try and figure out the real thing,
Yeah.
you know? But you're right. The problem with that is then it leaves this weird confusion.
Yeah.
And it doesn't give... It's sort of like a leadership in one sense of the word, but not in another. And the true leadership would have been to come out and say, look, I know you all want these decisions made quickly. We cannot make these decisions quickly. These are the guidelines.
Yeah.
We're not making a decision until this date. Or, you know?
My big thing also with that was like, no one views Australia as Queensland, New South Wales, WA, NT. No one's sitting there just going, oh, we're all... It's not like this, like America or Africa or Asia, where everyone's like, oh, this
Zimbabwe,
is this is a different country with a different law and legislation. I understand it's treated as such, like the states make their laws and people aren't driving over the border of New South Wales going, well, in Tweed now, like everything's different. We're doing all these things now, and what do you mean I can't do this? Like, there was just too much of like, well, we're meeting with the cabinet, and then this state's deciding this, and Victoria's doing this. When people heard Victoria were like, man, we're shutting schools, everyone's like, Victoria's shutting schools? What do you mean? Like, when has there ever been a situation in Australia where it's like one state's doing this and one state's doing that? The only time that happens is daylight savings. People talk about daylight savings and the fucking nightmare that is. But apart from that, we're one country. We don't operate. And I understand the law and all that type of stuff. But if you came out from the start and you said, hey, this is how it's operating as a country. When he came out straight away and said, well, this state wants to do this and that state wants to do that, I was like, oh, you fucking lost me, man. This is not good. Even if that is the law, like, come out and say we're a united country. All the states are working together to come with one definitive answer. Not, yep, New South Wales has more cases, so New South Wales are going to do this, but WA doesn't have any, so they're not going to do that. And who knows what Tasmania is doing, but Queensland, you can do this. Like, it was just too much around the aspect of no one could look at someone and go definitive leader. Most people were listening to the Victoria PM, just like taking lead of that. I remember Jen, my wife, was like, yep, school's off. Like, and I was like, I didn't hear that. And she's like, yeah. And then I was like looking and they're like, Victoria closes schools. So I was like, okay, but that's not the government calling it. And she's like, isn't it? It's the same thing to me, like which I could understand because
we're just not used to that.
Exactly, you're just being governed by what the media says. So the media comes out and goes, they lead with schools are closed. First thing they'll lead with because it'll grab the most amount of attention. So that's what everyone jumped towards. And then you're like Victoria, and then it's like the subtext, Victoria PM closes this. I was like, where is this all coming from? Like,
you realise too that there really isn't much leadership, just in general. Like, there really isn't, like, because I lived in America through Obama, and then I was there with like all through the Trump election as well. So that was like my time period of 8 years was pretty much all of Obama's presidency, and then the last year and a half was the Trump thing. So, but like, I felt like when I was there, Obama was like the leader of that country, and when I never got that invested in the politics of it, but I was captivated by him as a leader in terms of a man that would talk to a nation and essentially talk to the world. But it's like, that's fucking gone. Like, the next dude for me that's like him is Putin. Essentially, in terms of like a leader, where I'm like, he's like the fucking boss of that place. Like, we don't have that shit here. And but why? Like, I don't understand that. Man,
I honestly believe that personality plays such a massive part of it. Of course it does, man. Look at the New Zealand PM, Jacinda. Like, man, I look at her and just go, man, this chick is a legit boss.
Really?
Like, every move she makes, I'm just like, I would sit at a table. I would want to go to dinner with her. I would want to hear her thoughts.
I was like that with Obama.
Yeah, I would want to hear her thoughts on everything because, man, in terms of anyone that's led this thing, top to bottom, it's her. It's like, she will give her country notice. She's like, if you're a New Zealand citizen and you're living overseas, you've got 9 days to get back into this country before that's it. They're like, 9 days, like that's it. She's like, on this day, at this time, I will do this. She does it. I will explain my rationale via Facebook Live, just like her sitting on her couch at home, answering millions of questions as they come through.
Really?
Man, honestly, I listen to their stuff more than I listen to our stuff.
That's pretty cool.
Like, it's made me think, fuck, maybe I should go to New Zealand. But she'll be sitting on her couch just going, yep, blah, 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 this is it. But then she'll instantly go, hold on a second, I was wrong about that. Like, she'll pull herself up and go, I said this like about 30 minutes ago, and turns out I was wrong. I've just been told by someone else in this chat it actually is right, and this person just corrected me. Like, owns up to the mistakes, leads from the front foot. New Zealand hasn't even implemented crazy strict laws, but everyone respects her so much that they're just doing as she's doing. Like, she's just leading by example. Like, and everyone's following suit. Like, she is an absolute, by far and away, how she handled the shootings over there.
I was going to say, I remember her from that, and I thought that she did a pretty good job of that.
She did a good, man, time and time again, she proves herself. She did a great job with the earthquakes, with everything. I can honestly say, out of any leader that I've seen, I think she shows the best way to do it, because she's a real person. Her thing today, because like I'm actually following her thing today was about people talking about how Easter is going to be ruined for kids, because like kids are literally going to lose an Easter, which is sad, but it's just the nature of the world that you're not going to be going around running to your neighbour's house.
Am I a cunt for thinking that I just tell my kids to just not give a fuck? Like,
you're not, because
that's what I'd be like. If I had kids, I'd be like, hey guys, this year shit's fucking weird. It's right, we're not doing it the same as we used to do it. Next year I'll make it up to you.
Well, Easter's probably the easiest one, because you can isolate them. To say we're doing an Easter egg hunt at home, like run around here, you can still go to the store and get your chocolates. Like, you can still
I bought Easter eggs the other day.
Yeah, you can still manage to pull it together, but it's harder in the sense of most people may have had a vacation plan that they do. Shit, that's obviously,
but again, it's like perspective. Who gives a fuck?
No one should care. The way she describes it is basically like they were like talking about the tooth fairy and the Easter egg and all this for kids, and like kids were asking her the questions, so you can imagine like
weird position for her to be in.
Kids don't give a fuck about the virus. They want to know where the Easter bunny is and stuff, and then she's just like, oh, you'd be happy to know that it's the Easter bunny is an essential worker. So if you do this and this, like she answered it like on the spot questions, like if you do this and this, you can still have your Easter egg hunt at home, and like you won't be near anyone, and you're still practicing all this social distancing. Man, kids were fucking wrapped. Like they're still like, oh, there's still Easter eggs. Like another person like PM wouldn't be able to relate to a kid the same way they'd be able to relate to an elderly person.
Just treat the question with the same respect.
Exactly. Like it's not like dismissing what, like everyone knows the Easter bunny's not real, but she took the time to address it properly, because man, kids, like they need to be kids too. That's the hardest thing that I've found through this whole process, to be honest, is
restricting your kids.
Seeing like Ellis and Kingston not being able to play with their best friends, and man, like their friends will come around, leave a letterbox in their house, in our house, and then he'll read the letter, and then he'll write something, and my wife and him will go drop it off but like they just look at each other from the window, like kind of thing. It's that part like can break your heart, like seeing kids not get to be kids. That's one thing that I'll admit is rough through the process, but everything else for the most part has been fine. Like
the thing too that like I always kind of got the unrest with America because of just purely how many people are there, and like how different that place is state by state. Like, fuck, man, it's crazy to think that like I could say pretty comfortably that you could separate like California into like a different country, and then literally you could have North California and South California, because they're fucking so different. And like people that maybe people know, maybe people don't know, but like life in one state of America that's like a tenth the size of Queensland, maybe more, But it's like, it's so different. They can't relate to each other. People that live in San Francisco are a world away from the people that live in Los Angeles in terms of lifestyle, in terms of like, social mimetics. Like everything about that place is different. And then you go to Arkansas. There's zero relatability. Then you go to Texas. That's its own motherfucking place. Then you go to New York. Like, that country is so like culturally diverse. Maybe one of the most culturally diverse places on the planet. Like, I don't even think that traveling from, let's say, Bali to Thailand, I think there is more cultural similarity between Bali and Thailand than Texas and California.
Probably
it's
fair.
Fucking hectic. And I really think that unless you've like really experienced the culture, like really traveled through America, you couldn't really understand that. So in my head, I was always like accepting that that's a place that's never going to be very peaceful or very like cohesive. And I could see them even separating it. But I always said too that if you separated the states of America into countries, it would be at war constantly. It'd literally be the fucking Middle East. Like, it's hectic.
Makes sense.
But Australia, and this is one of the things that made me think about it when you were talking about the New Zealand Prime Minister, there's fucking no one here. There is no one here. Fuck all. Surely one person could put their fucking hand up and like lead this small amount of people, because we got the same landmass as America with literally less than 10% of the population. How fucking hard could that be? And I mean, that's a rhetorical, like hyperbolic question, obviously. But in my head, it's like, it makes sense that there could be someone that could speak to 22 million people and get a feeling between those 22 million people that this male or female has our best interests at heart and is going to be a leader. But like, fuck bro, I haven't had that feeling for forever. Like, John Howard was probably the last dude where you were like, he was kind of the boss. He was the boss.
It's like a hard thing, because I honestly believe it really comes down to people's level of respect. Through everything will generally come down to, if people respect the shit out of the New Zealand Prime Minister, so they do as they do as they're told. Like, at the end of the day, if you have lost respect at some stage, I don't think it's something you can win back.
Well, I don't think that they, like, the problem with the system right now, in my eyes, is like, no one's done anything to gain my respect.
That's
like,
true.
You can't lose my respect if you never had it. Like, have you ever had respect for Scott Morrison?
No, but the reason why the respect, I feel, has been lost through this whole like political system was, it's all come about from, every single PM has come about from backstabbing the one prior to. We haven't. We got to stop that shit. We haven't seen a clear cut run for, think back to when. Like, like literally John Howard.
Exactly. Or Kevin Rudd, kind of.
So he got there
through
like, so that was weird as it was, and then there was like Rudd, like it was just Gillard, then the next backstabbing, then Abbott, and then it was like, and since that, like you said, like the John Howard period, even us, like the biggest tax thing in our generation that happened was like the GST. Everyone sucked it up because they just went, rightfully or wrongly, whether you agreed with it or whether you're Liberal, Labor or whatever, everyone just went, we're doing this because for a reason. Fuck, the tax is going to hurt. And the taxes that came through his era were huge, payroll tax and all that type of stuff. But people stomached it because at the end of the day, I still think he held the respect of the people.
100%.
Since that period, I can't remember. I just can't really think of when.
But that's what, and that's like part of the problem for me is like, who the fuck is Scott Morrison to me before you get this like wishy-washy, backstabbing, revolving door of that cunt is no one to me. Like, he literally could have bumped into him in the street, never fucking known who he was. Next day, he's the fucking Prime Minister of Australia. That's a fucked up system.
It is,
Like, who in Russia would not know who Vladimir Putin is? Nobody.
Another thing that I always thought about through that process was, and I don't know whether maybe I was more into politics back then, but you heard of John Howard's story, like how he came up.
Exactly.
You also heard of like Paul Keating's story of like how he came up. There's like social media now and everything, so we should theoretically know a lot more about these people's stories on like, you would respect Morrison if I knew his story. At the moment I don't, but if he was like this guy that grafted and did all this stuff and did all this good and then worked here and did this, and you could tell he had the best interest of the people here, and he had done this and and then because you've built or understood his story from day dot to now, you're like, that is the right person to lead this country. Like you said, it was kind of just like, here's this guy. And we're like, oh, where did this all actually transpire from? We know that there was another like coup that was happening, and there was all this infighting, and we're like, here we go again, and then here we go again, and it's just happened so many times that I don't envy him being in that position, but he is in that position. So, but
then the burden of proof's on him, right?
Barely,
like fucking show me something. You know what I mean? Do something. That's like the fucking UK Prime Minister. What's that dude's name? He is a fucking goose. Like an absolute
But he's in intensive care now.
Yeah, he's got the fucking too, right?
He's like legit in intensive care from it.
Fuck, can you imagine the headlines of that?
Oh man, I actually saw that and I was like, if, like you said, if a PM or a leader of a country dies from it, holy shit, that'd be nuts.
Fucking hectic, eh?
That'd be.
I mean, then I guess like my whole thing about it being a flu would make me look like a fuckwit, because when was the last time a world leader died of a flu?
True.
You know, so like there is something to it, and to sit and say that there isn't is naive. But I'm more trying to just be, I guess, like aware of like the social situation and is the social reaction and the way that this is like spreading through culture, like, because I'm watching that more than the news, because it's more interesting to me, to be honest. Like even the way that we're talking about the home workout thing, like I've never seen anything spread as fast as that fucking home workout thing, man. Like one day of social media completely dominated by it, and then the next day it's the next thing, and then the thing today, like you can literally watch day by day these new things happening. The last 2 days is Instagram lives, where people just start engaging with people randomly on FaceTime lives, on Instagram lives, and it's like I just don't remember anything that's just like spread through culture so quickly. And
probably doesn't.
And we also, you know what's fucked up to say, we also saw it with the bushfires. The bushfires took me back at the start of this year for that same reason. I was like, how fucking quick is this spreading through our culture? Like this is spreading quicker than the fires. You have every single fucking sportsman donated something. Every single celebrity. As soon as one person started doing it, there's just like this insane like social proof. And as soon as a concept has any form of social proof, there is like this weird urge from people to, they have to do it. It's like a compulsion. And it's like, I just don't remember a time seeing people feeling so compelled to like have their input into, you know, like whatever's culturally happening at the moment.
It is crazy, man. 2020 will forever be known as probably the craziest year.
Well, we don't know that yet, though. It could be 2021's fucked up. Like
as of now.
Right.
Because it's like we're only in April, and those bushfires ran hot for obviously a really long period. That captivated the world. But how funny is it that not one person remembers it now?
No.
And there are people, like, think about, like, when you're always struggling to think about what your situation is like. People got hit by the bushfires, then got hit by this on top of that. So they lost their house or livelihood or whatever it was already. And then they got hit by this as well. And they're like, stay indoors, and like, I don't even have a house. They're probably at the point where they're just like, I really don't give a fuck. Like, they're probably sitting there just going, I'm going to do what I need to do at this stage. Like, they'd be the last people really complaining. They just be like, I need to...
It's just pure survival.
Exactly. I need to do whatever I need to do to stay alive at this stage. So they're probably living in a real primal zone, which that is where you look at someone and go, they need assistance. if we could take all the bundles of $750 per week or $1,500 and give it to, like, surely there has to be an allocation system where
that's kind of what's fucked up about the government in general, I reckon, is that it's like my biggest fucking, I could talk about it for years, but my whole thing is like, I want to live in, my ultimate society that I want to live in is like a good fucking leader, like a dude that's the leader, that all he's sort of doing is like mediating with like a cabinet of other super fucking smart people that are like the leaders in their field under which kind of categories follow. So, but I want to live in a world where we have like a fucking app, and there's like this page on the app where it's like, this is national issues, this is state issues, this is local issues. You can only vote on a local issue if you're within X amount of kilometers of the actual fucking postcode that area affects, right? And then the state issue, you've either got to live in the state or live on a border within X amount of that state. And then there's national issues which everyone can vote on. And then essentially what would happen is every day you can choose to log on, you can choose not to log on. You don't have to do shit. But if you want to vote on something, there's a package of like, there's a reading material that comes with it that has been put together with like a for and against. And then there could be fucking YouTubers that will go one side or the other. Like, it's on you to do the research. Before you can vote, you've got to answer a multiple choice based on the reading material. If you pass that with signs that you've read the material for the bill and against the bill, if you pass that, and it's not intensive, like you've got to fucking study it, but it's like you've got to have read it at least to know what the fuck is in there. And then you get through and you go yes or no. That's the fucking system. And then you've got a tax allocation thing. So every year that you do your taxes, you've got a minimum amount of tax that is required to go towards education, roads, blah, blah, blah. Everybody has a minimum required percentage that will get split up by the government. And then the surplus that's on top of that tax, you get to then allocate onto the other things that are relative to your community. You can do it on a local level, you can do it on a national level, and you can do it on a state level. Does it sound like it's that fucking impossible of a thing to do? It's like, it takes it, because like the gay marriage thing, that was sort of, this is one thing where me and my dad were having like these heated debates about it. And I'm like, don't vote on it then. Like, if you don't give a fuck, like, don't, you know, or you don't want to do the research, because his thing is like, he was just like, yep, I'm voting against it straight away. I'm like, what's your reason? Oh, because of this. I was like, well, that's not a good enough reason. Like, why is that a good enough reason? Like, I said so. Like, that to me, like, I don't want somebody that's in society that doesn't want to do the work, doesn't want to read the materials, doesn't want to say like, oh, so if you're, so I'm fucking throwing me dad on the bus here. But it's like, if you don't see that two fucking dudes that have sex should be allowed to get married or like live together and have a fucking life together, but he can't be his next of kin when he goes in for a fucking lung transplant, that to me is fucked up. Like, I don't, fuck the social side of it, you know. So it's like, to me, I'm like, I want people voting on things that they know about, that they read about, that they care about, that affects them. Because we just get given these fucking like blanket forms, vote for this one person. Fuck that. I don't know that person. Why should they have power over me and like the issues that I care about? And it's like, we all have to have jobs. We all have to, we can't all just be politicians. And the time of like, the system started where it's like, you elect a representative, because I lived in Cairns. I grew up in Cairns, and then that dude would get on his fucking horse and carriage and he'd ride down to Canberra with all of the messages and all of the hopes of his region, and then he'd go down to Canberra and he'd say, well, in North Queensland we've got these issues and we need stronger backing for cane farmers, and then the cotton farmers got, you know, like we had to have that. We fucking don't now. I can literally tell if Scott Morrison texts me right now and said, hey man, we're doing this gay marriage thing. How do you feel? I'd go, I'm for gay marriage. That can happen. Like, he's never going to do that. I'm never going to get a text from Scott Morrison saying
maybe,
that.
Man.
But that's a fucking thing that he could do, and that could go towards it. So in my head, like, why the fuck are we not pushing for a society? How much pressure would that take off the system? And then it's like, then let's go build out a fucking government that is around just like facilitating, they're constantly working to improve these laws. You'd get groups of people like, when it came to internet laws, for example, and like internet privacy, internet this, internet that, whatever, I'd be all over it.
Yeah.
Like my job is the internet. I work in the internet world.
Of course.
And then when it comes to like fitness stuff and gyms, like you'd be very actively involved in the politics that you could directly influence. So for me, like it just seemed, and I fucking know it's possible.
Yeah.
You know why? Because everyone's money is on the internet.
Yeah.
So if anyone wants to come at me with any bullshit about like, oh, I could get hacked, well, fucking Combank seems to do a pretty good job of keeping my money and knowing when I want to pay you and pay you and
it
pay
definitely
you.
could be done. Man, you're right. Actually, it's a good system, and it could be done.
It could be done.
Yeah, it definitely could. It could be. Man, Combank's a good example of that because their app, you're like, this is a pretty slick app that we could, and all the apps now are just fucking
Insane,
next level good that you just go, this is so streamlined and systemized that, yeah, you're right. When we were all walking down to vote or had to vote, if some people copped the fine during this period, which
I did.
Yeah.
But I do every year.
Yeah.
That's what this is.
Yeah.
Because I don't believe in this shit.
Yeah.
I fucking can't stand any of these cunts.
So that was when everyone was sitting there just going, that's probably when everyone just went, is there not a better way?
Yeah.
Surely there's a better way. Everyone started thinking that right now, that you just banish people to their home. They're not allowed to go out. But
you can go vote.
But if you don't go out now and do it, you're going to get fined. And then there forms this massive contradiction that everyone's just like, what the fuck, like type of thing. So, man, it is true.
Well, that's like one of the other things that made me really get like fired up about that was like Bindi Irwin. When she come out, it was like a while ago. I don't want to quote her, but it was like basically saying how like crocodiles need to be further protected because they're talking about culling crocodiles in North Queensland.
Yeah.
Listen here, Bindi. You don't know fucking shit about crocodiles in North Queensland. Your dad might have, and you got a zoo that has crocodiles in it. You probably know more about crocodiles than most people.
Yeah.
But you don't fucking live there.
Yeah.
You don't know. I can literally name a bridge where if you went there right now, there'd probably be a fucking massive crocodile sitting under that.
You grew up in Cairns,
bridge.
didn't you? Yeah, I know it. Yeah.
Sitting under that fucking bridge.
Yeah.
And that could eat a person. And he's there because there's fucking so many other crocodiles that are in that place. And it's like, there's people that know that. And there's people that care because it directly affects their lives. They're the people that will vote, that should vote on that.
Yeah.
They should vote for like a regional thing. There's no crocodiles in Melbourne. And then I started seeing like shit underneath her thing, like people commenting, and it's like, you live in Melbourne. There's no fucking crocodiles in Melbourne, bro. Like, this isn't an issue that, you know what I mean? And then the thing is that I think you'd find all these people that are so noble and mighty and care about everything and have these causes that they'd just fucking disappear because the real people would do the reading. Yeah. And then as a byproduct of that, you're going to get some form of education. Yeah. Because the thing is, like, just people are so fucking uneducated on everything. And me included. Like, I'm so uneducated. There's no incentive for me to get educated unless it's something that really affects me. And then I have to go in. Yeah. And I think that a system like that would force that education and force people to read both sides because you have to understand both sides. Like, it's so easy to like attach yourself to an idea or a piece of legislation or whatever without understanding the other side. Yeah. And it's like that it's not on the individual to learn. Yeah. And I think that when you are in a system where it's like, oh, I'm going to listen to this politician and that politician wants to get elected. The other thing that the whole direct democracy would do via like the app is, how do you pay off 22 million Australians if you're BP or if you're Rio Tinto? How do you pay off everybody? Yeah. It's pretty easy to buy one dude or buy six people in the Senate. Yeah. You cannot buy everybody. Or how you could buy everybody though is you go, say, like, let's just say Rio Tinto, and you're like, hey, we've got $3 billion that we want to spend in Australia to secure this new mining contract or whatever it is. And it's like, you'd literally give the country bargaining power.
Yeah.
You would give the fucking people power to go, you cannot buy our representatives anymore. Chinese special interest groups, fucking mining special interest groups. All of these things are real and exist.
Yeah.
And there is somebody that puts pen to paper somewhere along the line, some lawyer that will draft these things that can be bought.
Oh man, of course. It's, to be honest, it's just a different version of like what happens in corrupt countries.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just very obvious there because they pretty much say, "Yeah, I've been bought out, and what are you going to do about it?" Like I hold the power, so how are you gonna do anything about it? Where it's very obvious there, but within this, it's obviously hidden as much as humanly possible. It is like what you're saying is just like referring to like almost like mini communities that someone has the best interest of heart of your pocket, and then they represent that little pocket. It could be anything. Like it can be someone, like you said, represents internet, someone represents sports and lifestyle, and could be specific to that sport that goes to maybe it's jiu-jitsu and they go to this group that covers all the sport, and then all the sport covers, and then it just needs, all that I think it needs is more steps in the process via, I'm all for digital because paperwork, like even filling out the paperwork, you're sitting there and going, this is mad. It's like, why are we doing this right now when everything else we just did was all via digital, but we came to fill in this piece of paper? That doesn't really make much sense. But if there was just mini steps towards the process of getting the person that represented you the best to represent moving forward, I think people probably struggle with the aspect of me and you sitting in your podcast room in Burleigh. My office is down the road, my gym's down the road, so we're probably a good representation of people that are around the age of 30 to 35 that do stuff in digital marketing. That's our world. And then we go, but the person that is going to take us and represent us happens to be 70 that has no care, hypothetically, about any of the things we just talked about, whether it be culture, art, sports, lifestyle, internet. They may represent only 2% of what we care about, but we know the other part that they don't care about. They may say that they're looking after the overall thing, but because there was no people in between us that could help get our message, that's when people feel disjointed and the unrest from there. Yeah. The times where, and don't get me wrong, it's obviously a lot easier. The smaller the population, the easier it is to get connected. So when I was referring to the New Zealand Prime Minister, again, a smaller population has made it better for her as well, because she does do a good job of connecting with less people, because there's less steps towards her. Like they're literally, but it's all the same channels though. Like the way that the platforms that she's speaking to, it's all scalable for sure. You get a fucking one YouTube video has 1 billion views. So it's like, you get 22 million people, to get a message to, that all have these platforms, that all live in an island together. Like that message, like if there was a strong enough leader, that message can fucking get out there. Agreed. Man. And I think that it just gets so sketchy when there's like re-election, and it's like you're just constant re-election, and the people that, like, you've got to have the party put forward your seat. So it's not even like you can just do it on your own merits, and then you've got to be in one of these two parties or the Greens, but then the Green seats go. It's a clusterfuck. No one gets it. It all gets put in the too hard basket. And the thing is, like, you've got to be a politician. What is a politician? How do you fucking be a politician? There's no kids sitting there just going, I'm going to go to uni, or I'm going to do this to become a politician. No one thinks like that. And
it's like being a traditional news anchor. It's not like there's auditions for those spots. Like there's parts of society that are so niche and so hard to get to, and they take so long, and they're these like almost like ancient cultural structures, the hoops that you've got to jump through to like be a politician or be a TV host or be a movie star. Like there's things that you've got to do. It's a hard process.
Yeah.
And then the problem with the process like that is you meet so many people along the way that can give you there's like a yes or no. And that yes is never like a scot-free yes. Like for someone to say, yeah, well, you can get this next job. You're always going to owe somebody when you're in like that kind of ladder climbing situation. So just even to like be a politician, like we should kind of aim to do away with politicians at this point, I think. And like under that direct democracy system where say you've got that app, it's like you just got to have, say it's sport. Like you could run for the fucking sport minister.
Exactly.
And then it's like you'd have to go out and you'd have to, make enough noise within the community of like active voters that like they're going to vote on every sporting issue that comes up. And it's like the cream then will rise to the top. And then it's not like Sel did this and then this guy's kind of put him across here. And then it's like you don't really need to be a politician. I see it going like you've got Sel as the figurehead of like the minister for, let's say, sport. And then it's like you'd go, this is how much budget that we've got due to like a minimum, the mandatory minimum that the government gives, and then the surplus that gets given from the taxpayer. And then you go, okay, well, our budget then to run the division, I need 10 lawyers, I need this, I need that, I need that. And then bang, that's your department. It's not like you need to be a fucking politician.
Yeah.
And then it's like you would find people from the community that vote constantly and constantly read the material. I could see it getting to the point where you've got like, dudes on YouTube making like breakdowns of new legislation, reading both things. Oh, this is what you should take away from that if you're not good at reading. And I could just see all of these communities kind of thickening out and forming, and then you're the leader of that and you go, I'm going to get this YouTube kid or this YouTube dude or this YouTube mum or whatever to get this message out to the community, or I'm going to try and bring her in and just see, because she has access to so many people that are in that. Like, I just think you could build such a great system, but fuck, man, like, can you imagine all the shit that would have to get let go of, like just special interests and...
Man, you probably started something though.
I don't know that it could fuck. It wouldn't be the first person. I wouldn't be the first person.
Of course you're not, but in a time like this, when you start putting out a message like that, who's to say it doesn't spark something from, I'm not saying that this specifically, but it doesn't spark more conversations. And like, there's probably another 1,000 other podcasts or news feeds or things going on where people are thinking similar nature, that's all it takes. Like, it can take something like that to really build momentum for people to think of things in a different light, because it definitely just makes more sense. Yeah, and it's just like you got to think it's just like a place where you'd want to be, because then like that, how we sort of started this is like those people that were sitting there on a Sunday night that want to like give up. A lot of that is like, I don't know how much of that I could even blame on them, because it's like they're probably the same people that have been fucking beaten down by society. And it's like part of that's probably personal and some issues that they've got with themselves, and part of it's probably that life is hard and society is kind of fucked in certain ways. For sure. The only thing I'll like caveat that with is also, if those are the same people that like are posting on their Instagram like never give up and just fucking bullshit quotes that like, but then within themselves they're also going, I'm not going to go to work because this COVID thing or whatever is too hard. Like that's the shit that drives me insane. Is like portraying this message or perception or image on social media of all this like grind, hard work, do this, do that type of thing. But then adversity strikes, a bit of hard work is needed. And then at that point it's like, now I'm talking about COVID and we shouldn't go out and no one should go to work and our lives are in danger, and like that's where I'm just like, man, what are you talking like? Which side are you on? Are you on the side of let's push the society forward? Because it does right now need people that are leaders, that are hard workers, that are willing to do what it takes to pull people through this shit. And there are a lot of people that are scared, and no one's saying don't be scared, but people are saying really think about the situation properly in its context. Can you do something to help? If you can, do something to help. Don't completely sit defeated because you've been pushed a message that may not be fully accurate to actually what's going on with your area or your community or your people. That's where it's really hard for. I can see people getting petrified by the message that's pushed at them, that they can't see past it. And I can get it, they can't see past it, but if they were able to sit and think clearly for a short period without being bombarded, or they could turn away from it just for a bit and have other people talk to them with the right rational voice around it, could they be better serving their community or those people? And the answer is yes. They probably could.
Yes for all of us, man.
For sure, man. I know I know for myself there's better things that I could be doing right now that I'm like trying to implement, but like anything, you get busy.
But you're open to growth.
Oh yeah, you have to be.
And that's the thing is, I think that's even something that's worth even me just saying, like, as a person that talks on this podcast, like I am so open to growth. Yeah. And I look back at and I'm trying to do this less and less, but like look back at the person I was even yesterday with like a certain fucking disdain for that person, because it's like I do always want to get better, but it's like no one is perfect and no one's going to do the right things all the time, but you have to be open to like doing those things and implementing changes.
And like if there's someone that's sitting there just going, nothing good's going to come from this, and nothing good personally is going to come through it because of all these things, chances are nothing good's going to come from it, compared to if you're looking at it just going, at this time point it's forced me to slow down, be a better dad, be a better husband, be a better friend, be a better colleague, be a better boss, be a better individual just as a human to yourself, and be more introspective, then something good has come from it, because you otherwise wouldn't have had that time to do it, because you would have been on the hustle or in the grind, or you just wouldn't have thought of it. Like something made you sit and think and look at it from a different perspective compared to the norm. So it's such a hard switch, I think, for people to make, compared to going, it's that glass half full, half empty thing. But if you prefer to look at something for its positive, you're going to be better off. No matter what anyone says, they can say, it was negative or this, and then, but that led you down a path that nothing good is going to come from that. There can be absolutely nothing good from you going, this is shit and the world is fucked and I'm like waving the white flag. Nothing good will come from that.
Yeah, you already know the answer.
The outcome to that is it's set in stone. Yeah, it's 100% set. You've decided that, compared to something good's going to come from this. Even if it doesn't happen right there and then, you've stacked all the chips in your favor for something good. Maybe not tomorrow, maybe not a year, maybe not 3 years, but something at some stage will come from that, because you stack the chips in your favor, that the laws of probability are working in your favor to say, you at least, like you said, open yourself up for growth during that period to say, fuck, like this can lead to something better than what was yesterday. So man, I think as humans and everyone going through this, the one thing that everyone's recognized, the one overall message, at least I feel this right, is everyone's doing it together. So if that billionaire is doing it the same way the person that has no money is doing it, if we're all doing it together and certain people are thriving through it and feeling okay and doing good things and providing, and other people are doing the complete opposite, what is the difference between them? It's just a mindset. Like, it's just a mindset that's changed between someone that's gone, I'm going to look at this for what good I can do, and someone that's just gone, well, this was the last thing that broke the camel's back and I quit now, and wake me up when it's over, and then I'll start trying to do that. Which, if you do that now, there is no guarantee
that you'll have anything.
Exactly. There is that's one thing you can guarantee when there's not many guarantees left. There is no guarantee when this is all over you'll be left with any decisions. You may just be forced to do whatever you're told. They may just say, hey, yep, we gave you that money or whatever it is, but now you have to pay that double, and you have to pay it in 3 months, because they can physically do that. Like people think that like
that's why we haven't fucked with any of those loans here. We're just like, no, I don't know, man. Yeah. I don't know when I'm like, I'd rather struggle now and it be like my struggle. Yeah. If that makes sense.
Oh man, for sure. So if
I know some people have to, but like until I get to that point where I'm like, okay, I can't even operate anymore. I definitely am like scared of that because there is no guarantees.
There's no guarantees on anything. So the only thing you can guarantee in this period, the one and only thing is your effort and your output to what you can control. That's all you can guarantee. That's all you can really sit with confidence, knowing that I can get up, I can do as best as I can for whatever the hours that I can do that output or that commitment or that work. And what happens from there, at least I know I put all the things in my favor to go right. If I do nothing, I put no cards in. Like I'm literally walking in with the worst card possible in the worst environment possible compared to walking in with everything stacked in my favor. What happens from here? Hey, I can live with that as long as I know I've put every chip in my favor, which too many people are just leaving all their chips. They're just like not taking it and just going, will you see what happens when this whole thing wraps up? Which I could never live. I could never live like that. I would lose my mind in the aspect of just going, my destiny and faith is being controlled by...
Who the fuck knows?
Exactly. Like who's to say? Like I could never ever live my life in that situation.
Especially with like your family and shit.
Oh man. Even their kid, like everything, I just think of all the people that depend on you, whether it be staff, whether it be your family, your kids, your parents, like
just direct people in your your group too. You know, like at the fucking morning group chat boys, like they depend on you to like want to be there to keep that class going, and then that helps their lives. Like there's a big butterfly effect that your positivity on a daily basis has on the people that are around you. Like, and I'm one of those people. Like I look at you guys and you and Mel and like the stuff that you're doing, I feed off that. Like there's so many people that, and that's what I think bothers me about that. That whole like the way that this thing just like spread as a meme, like, and the way even people talking like, oh, day 4 of quarantine. It's like you don't have to be in quarantine. Like there's no law saying right now that you cannot leave your house. Like, and you're proliferating this shit through our fucking culture that like we all have to give up. Like that's it, guys. Done. Stay. It's like no, be fucking smart. Do what the government told you. Like there are things that you can still do to be productive, and whether you fucking think so or not, you giving me another home workout isn't being that productive.
Oh man, the ones that
might be getting you views.
One that, if like what you said about the memes and everything like taking effect and like quarantine this and quarantine that, if everyone had somehow stimulated themselves to say, a lot of people have, which for that, like you have to be thankful where they've shown, I am now working on this. Yeah. Because work is slowed. Like naturally the economy has all scaled back, and I may have been working in hospitality, which meant my shifts have gone from this, and now we only have takeaway. So I used to do 60 hours a week, I now do 30. But in that extra 30 that I otherwise was doing this, check out what I'm doing now, which is new skill, helping others, creating, whatever it is. That's awesome.
Yeah,
like
I'm down with that.
It's just such a good thing and an opportunity to have learned, to have grown through this whole period. Ones that are just like, yep, it's another day of quarantine, which means another day by the pool, which means another selfie, which means another
meme about the end of the world, another meme about... I love too how it's always like, oh, this is just how it was for me. Like it's just like literally everything that you could do. It's like people just filling themselves with this mindless shit and then making everybody else feel like that's what they should be doing. Man, like I've felt guilty I've caught myself feeling guilty of like, well, I'm still going to work every day. Yeah. But it's like, hang on. I drive by myself in my car 2 minutes to my work, and I sit by myself.
Exactly what I do.
I'm still fucking working.
Yeah, man. Like I've never been busier. I can honestly say, actually rephrase, I was probably slightly busier when I had uni and a few jobs. But in terms of like singular in a space like our office is. We literally extended our office when COVID hit.
Right before this.
And then everyone's just like, rightfully so, staff were worried. Some of the staff were actually traveling from different places and it just got into the country at the time. So I get people feeling uneasy. Some came from Asia, some came from New Zealand, and rightfully so, we were just like, all right, let's make the call. No staff have kids, so you guys can work from home without distractions or anything. I do have kids. I can't work from home without distractions, but I need to work as hard as possible during this period of time. So all that's happened for me is I just still go to the gym at the same time, drive to the gym, first there's just no more people on the mats. Yeah. But because I'm by myself, like you said, complete isolation, wipe everything down, do my training, drive up the hill, go to work, there from 6:30. My kids, usually I would take them to school. Now they have to be homeschooled. So they do their homeschooling. I go home from after 6, go home at 5:30, bath, change them, have dinner with them. They go to bed. I repeat the process. During that period of time, from 6:30ish, whatever it is, the output that can be getting done right now is next level because you can get so far ahead.
That's what I'm trying to do now.
Compared to everyone else, because it's literally, and I'm one of those people that I always picture competition doing something at the same time I'm doing it, and I'm thinking of what would person B be doing right now. The
ghost controller kind of deal. Yeah.
And I'm just like, man, there may be, out of the population that are doing the same type of thing that I'm doing right now, how many of them have fallen off? That means I've just gained a bit. And I've never been the person that has just been naturally crazy talented that picked up a thing that could just... I've been good at a lot of things, but I've always gone, I'll get the steps ahead of people by just outworking, because it's the only thing I can control. I can't control just God-given talent. Yeah. That's genetics, that I got some really good ones as well, but there's certain things there's certain things that...
I felt those genetics fucking fuck my shit up.
But there's certain things that you just go, I need to just put in the hours because it's the only thing I can control now.
Yeah.
Pretty much the rest of the stuff is completely out of your control. But if I've got the time to get in the seat and work, people are falling off during this period. Like that's the one thing I think about all the time when I'm working away, whether it's early in the morning or late at night, that everyone's feeling tired and they'll hear something shitty about something that had happened and X amount of people had died, and you don't feel good about that. But at the same time, you also go, how many other people heard that and said, all right, I'm going to stop now? And for every single one that stopped, you've just stepped ahead of them. And if you just stayed on that course for this whole period of time, what does that mean when
it's all over?
Where do you sit now? Probably sit fucking a lot further ahead than when you started. And maybe it needed a pandemic for a lot of good people that worked solidly hard, that were just getting no breaks. Like everyone talks about this being the most unlucky thing that's ever happened, and from a health perspective I get it, but maybe for the people that had grafted for so long that couldn't just catch a break and just kept going and going and going and going, and then all of a sudden this happened, and their normal will and resolve didn't change, and they just kept doing the exact same thing that they were doing 20 years before, have now got to where they should be. They just needed something. Sure, no one wanted it to be what people are saying is...
Well, it's not like people chose it.
Exactly. Yeah. No one chose for it to be this thing that is hurting. And
but you can choose to...
look at it the other way. So, yeah.
Well, that's what was funny for me when all this shit went down. And, like, I posted that video, on like kind of, I guess like that day that it sort of got real with me with like sponsors and stuff like that. And that wasn't like a, oh, poor me kind of thing. Like, and I hope it wasn't taken like that.
I didn't.
But I was just really wanted to be like, dude, charge hard now.
Yeah.
And even if like, man, I've been reading like fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Like just the last few weeks with everything that's been going on, because like, I want to be off YouTube. Like I love sitting and watching like YouTube shit. I got some podcasts. I've just stopped it all.
Yeah.
I just said like I'm done, and that's probably why I've been talking about it so much here, because I actually haven't spoken about it at all in weeks.
Yeah.
But it's like I just was like, I'm just gonna focus on like some shit for myself. And it's funny, like the thing that I realized kind of like after the fact is like I've been broke.
Yeah.
Like this whole thing that like I'm going like since I've moved to Burleigh last year, I've been broke the whole time.
Yeah.
Completely broke. Every single week. It's like, it's not even week to week. It's almost like negative 2 weeks to week.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I feel like I'm always 2 or 3 weeks behind everything. And it's like, a lot of that is me learning to deal with a new thing and being a new level of busy, and there's so much that is, you could say, is why. And I mean, I'm just prepared at this point to just get better at that stuff until I can handle it and life gets better.
Yeah.
But to me, when this happened, I was like, well, I'm already I'm already broke. There's nothing like,
that's going to be taken away from you.
Take away some more. Like, as long as I can keep this room, I'll live in this room. If I have lived in this room. When me and my fucking ex broke up, like I literally did live in this room. It wasn't that fucking bad.
Yeah.
Get like your head. You can adjust to these things with the right fucking mindset.
Man, that was also the other thing on that Joey Diaz podcast, where it was just like, this will be the filter to people to realize they don't need all that bullshit in their life. Like right now, genuine, like I would love this. My brain thinks of these weird, crazy statistics, but I'm thinking, how many of the people that are saying they're broke, that can't afford these things, have a subscription to cable, have a subscription to some unwanted bullshit that they don't actually need, like a premium Spotify, when they could just listen to the one with ads.
30 seconds of ads,
like it's not much, but all these things start to add up one by one by one by one. Like when they were traveling somewhere over this most recent period, they had to go somewhere, and they could have stayed at the budget hotel directly at the airport. That was $69, but they chose to get the Uber to a nice place in the city, and get the Uber back or whatever it may be, and do that. They chose, there was something on special, but they really wanted that other color type of thing. Like, how many people are still doing that type of stuff? If you are, it's like, what the fuck are you thinking? Like,
and why were you doing it in this first place?
Exactly.
If you wanted it as bad as you said.
Yeah.
And like, that's the thing, man. Like, it's not that bad to live. Like, my friends call my house the monastery. Yeah. Because there's no TV. There's like literally nothing in it. There's a couch. There's jiu-jitsu mats on the complete living room floor. Yeah. Only I can't even train. It's just there, so I stretch.
Sick.
I've got my foam roller, my belt, and my fucking massage, like a few little massage things. I just fucking stretch, and I'll read on there now. And it's like, you don't need that much shit. Like what you need, like I need this. Yeah. I need like good connection with good people. Yeah. I need my friends. I need my family. Yeah. But like the rest of it, man,
it's
like
all,
you can learn to live without this shit. And it's like, I've had to do that before this started. And it's almost like it geared me up to really not care about this, because you know,
that's because people, and naturally I guess probably look at some stuff where they like, I don't claim to live a hard life or be poor or anything. I live in a great house.
Well, you've earned that shit.
Yeah, and all the other different types of stuff. So, but people will always ask me the question of like, sometimes they'll see a receipt of something and just be like, even at work, they'll be like, hey, why would you have stayed at the budget hotel? Like, because literally when I go to Sydney, I'm just like, Sydney. I hate driving as it is anyhow. Yeah. So I'm only going to be going to my meetings, and the place that I'm going to leave from, I may as well be as close as possible. Yeah. So I can just walk there to the airport. What's the closest place to the airport? Just happens to be the Ibis. Yeah. Just so happens that the Ibis is $69 a night, which is the best deal that you can get. Why would I spend the money to get into the city, to spend money on some snobbish bullshit hotel I hate hotels as it is. Like I would much rather be at home with my family. But so why spend the money on something
you don't even like anyway?
Exactly. And then what's it for? Like I'm going to be in that bed for at most 5 to 6 hours. The bed comfort level isn't different. The only thing that's different is like kind of almost just wanting to be notoriety or pompous or to be
ego, man.
Exactly. It's 100% is that would I not rather keep that extra $200 or whatever that was saved and do something for my kids, do something for my community, do something for a friend, like.
But that's why you have respect.
Yeah,
I think because like you are that guy. Like even when like the hype group offices, it's like you can tell people respect you. Mill respects you. Like I fucking respect you. Like you do have that. Like you're a humble guy in that sense, and it's like it's really easy to get down with somebody that is like a fucking super humble dude, and it's through actions like that, you know. Like you're not like that's just something that, you know, you're not saying, hey guys, I'm staying at the budget this weekend, just I want to let everyone know, you know what I mean? Because then it's like kind of disingenuous.
Exactly. It's not real. Have you ever seen that meme of J. Cole? How I
fucking love that dude.
He's top 3 in my opinion out of in the hip hop game. But there's a meme of him, literally all these people walking past him, and he's in coach, just in the plane. Yeah. I think you can actually see the seat number above him. I think it's like 35 or something. And he's just sitting there with his headphones on, just leaning against the thing. And you can see these like people in front of him that there was a video of it like priorly complaining about, we're in coach and all this. Yeah. It's like one of the greatest rappers going around right now sitting in coach, and the meme just says, you walk past aisle 35 seeing J. Cole sitting there, and you're complaining about fucking sitting in coach or not being in first class or business class. Yeah. What the fuck do you think's actually going on right now? Like that shows the context of how someone like that thinks. Yeah. Clearly could afford the private, could afford the first class, but it just goes, is it needed? Really think about it. Is most of the shit that you're actually doing really needed in your life? And do you need to spend on that watch or that bling or any of the other stuff? Because it's definitely probably not going to make you happy, because you're obviously doing it to please someone else.
It comes down to like, who are you doing it for? Yeah. You know, who are the reasons like to yourself? Like it's funny. So I got this dude, he's one of my best mates now. He's done the Vietnam trip with me the last 2 years, or like with us. And I didn't know him. I met him there the first time. Dude's a fucking gajillionaire. Yeah. Young fucking boss, right? And the first few days on the first trip, I thought he was a bit of a wanker. Yeah. Because like he had this fucking $75,000 Rolex on. Yeah. And like on the bar, everywhere, he just had this fucking Rolex on. And he was like just now knowing, like I understand, but he had that watch because like he was this self-made kind of guy that made millions and millions and millions by the time he was 36. And he's like every time I look at my watch, I go, it's time to fucking work. Yeah. Like this watch costs a lot of money. Yeah. Like it's time to fucking work. And to me, I'm like, that's a fucking dope ass thing. It's like that's a genuine thing.
It represents something for him. Sure.
You can go the other way and you can get that $75,000 watch, so you can tell people that you've got a $75,000 watch. You know? So there is like that kind of fucking, it's so double-sided, but it's so based on like, you've got to be so honest with yourself.
For sure, man. It's true, man. And everyone's been at some stage like a teenager that was coming up that wanted to take over the world. And like my original thing was, I just wanted to, for whatever reason, wanted to take over. Like first I wanted to be an athlete. That was always my top thing of just like going, I have to become a professional sports person. Originally it was soccer, then it was tennis, and then
you got too big for both.
Yeah. And then I ended up at rugby league, and I was like, I've got to get to NRL. Like it was just a thing. And man, when I actually got there, and then I only got to play 2 first grade games. But I remember playing the first one and running out and everything, and I was like, so that was it. And I remember clear as day sitting in the dressing room just going, for the last 10, I was 24, last 10 years, this is all that I've chased. And right now, I can definitely tell that wasn't what I thought it was going to be. Not because of the actual game or anything like that. It was...
because it wasn't for you.
Yeah. And I realized almost instantly that I was like... it was a good lesson, but I was like, I'd been chasing something that was based on an ego of me wanting to be the professional sports star that I had just created. I had just created from such a young age that it wasn't necessarily the right thing that fit my being. So did another year, played another game or so, and then very quickly also realized the environment of people I was around wasn't actually me either. That was probably the thing that took it away from the most. And so...
just like the culture, that
the
footy culture.
Yeah, what came from it. I met all my best mates from it. They were no longer in it.
Yeah.
If I wasn't going to be at a place where those people were, which is what kind of got me there in the first place, I was like, this doesn't fit anymore.
Yeah.
From multiple reasons. And probably the thing most people find the hardest that I learned then, there was the best lesson I could learn, is I'm not defining myself as this professional athlete, because that's all I wanted and chased for so long. I'm just a guy that happened to run around a football field with a ball, and I did that semi-okay for a period, but I can go and do other things. I'm not tied to this because I've created an ego where I have to be a sports person. So like making that call of asking for a release for no real other reason apart from I wasn't vibing with what was going on there was probably the best thing I could have done. It just completely freed me from ever thinking that I was attached to something, which made me think I can go and do anything that I really wanted. So then it just led, but that lesson learned led to me thinking, now I want to take over, try and do this. And then all of a sudden you start realizing that you're trying to do all these things for a period of time where you need your ego because it's the thing that keeps you driven. Because if you completely lose any ego, you will lose a bit of... Exactly.
Yeah.
And you'll lose...
It's a weird balance.
It's a super weird balance. But if you go the other way and you let it control you, you're just a fucking sociopath. Like, you'll turn into an egomaniac where you're doing everything for the wrong reason. So there is that balance, but you need to know when you need to also check your own ego. Like, you need to sit there and look at yourself and go, my ego was the thing that drove me to get this far, which is great because it gave me purpose, it gave me drive, it gave me ambition, which has provided a life for myself, my wife, my kids. But if you let it get one step too far, and it will happen every now and then where you go, oh, I'd like that, or I should do that because it would make me feel good rather than for the greater good, and you let it take hold of you, it's a fucking slippery slope. I've seen so many people go down that slippery slope where it's just gone, it was just the one thing, and they didn't check themselves personally, and no one checked them and let it happen. And then that person was like, oh, okay, well, I'll just do it again and again. And now they're so far down the other part. And I'm sure you know a billion people like this, where you're just like, that person is fucked.
That's my biggest fear in life, is being
that person.
Fuck, bro.
Nah, you would never.
It's like a daily fucking stress of mine, you know, like, and it's I probably take it too far because I know, like, I feel like I know the capability that I have to have ego. Yeah. Like, even when I started jiu-jitsu, bro, oh, fuck, I was the biggest piece of shit. Like, but in my head, like, I feel like I'm an intellectual person in terms of, like, and even that, to say that, is that ego? But it's like, I feel like the way that my brain breaks things down is like this intellectual, either top down or bottom up, whatever way that I look at it. So I've got this fucked up brain that can make sense of something as that is egotistical in terms of its soul. Like the soul and the core and the undertone of what I'm saying is with ego. And if I'm honest to myself, that's a truth. But my intellectual brain can go through and break down that thing and justify it intellectually. So for me, jiu-jitsu, I started doing fucking great at it.
Yeah.
Instantly. I was so fucking, I was so at home.
Yeah.
I felt fucking amazing. I felt great doing everything.
Yeah.
And then, so I'd go and I'd had a fucking ego about it.
Yeah.
But then I'd go, well, hey, the writing's on the fucking wall.
Right.
And then I said, I used to tell myself when I raced motocross, or like, well, when I come from the world of racing motocross, I was like, mate, everyone's fucking lap times are there.
Yeah.
I know how much faster he was than me. I know how much faster I was than him. And he'll fucking use that over me in a race because I'll know that he qualified 2 seconds a lot faster than me. Yeah. I'll also know that if that dude's in front of me, I can run that motherfucker down because I was 2 seconds faster than him. So that's how like my brain starts. Yeah. And I'm like, I can make excuses for my ego and say, well, it's not ego. It's a subjective truth.
Oh man, it's it's a real hard one. Martial arts is always the like great leveler where at the end of the day it will get your ego will get exposed by someone. I was going to say someone will expose it, and that's why it's such a great humbling experience that like you can go in there and like I can lift all this weight and go against a guy like you and you'll just go 3, 2, 1 in a system and dismantle me. Like, and that's where you just go, well, whatever ego I had before I walked in here that I'm this and I'm that just got removed as soon as I crossed that mat because that guy has trained more, studied more, whatever it is, and has developed this thing. I can't hide from that. I can't.
And you can't be mad at it either.
No, of course not. But the one thing that I think you also need, maybe it's not the term ego is not the right thing.
Yeah, it's like a weird word.
Yeah.
It's sort of like ego is the negative version. Yeah. But it's like maybe it's confidence. I don't know.
There's a level of, you have to understand that this happened for this reason. Introspectively, I know that I've got dog in me, I've got fight in me, I've got self-pride, I've got respect. Whatever you want to refer to it can all almost be wrapped up in the term ego, but you need to find what yours is that keeps you in check without letting you get carried away by thinking, I'm the shit, I can do whatever I want, because your head will get kicked in, whichever way it is, whether it be in business, whether it be in martial arts, whether it be by your family, whether it be by your friends. And the people that like you refer to where it's like, man, I would dread being one of those people. You would never hang out with other people that would let you get that far. That's like that's the great leveler that where I see the people
always have Sam to roast me.
Exactly. Like you'll have someone. Like I literally sit in this chat. The boys will be laughing about this probably now with you know, Frank Hickman, like the Tiger Muay Thai coach, and my best mate Brocky and Wayno and Pig and all these mates.
Wayno's a funny cunt.
Yeah, England Sparb, and it's basically a chat of just straight sledge. Yeah. Like you wake up in the morning and you've been told probably 3 times you're a piece of shit before you've even like gone to like brush your teeth or whatever it is. Yeah,
it's called Vietnam.
Yeah, exactly. Ours is called Sooty Soldiers, and it's referred to me being sooty as a racist undertone, but it's a joke. Like people don't get offended if you're listening, thinking that oh my god, like black
everybody sells black.
Yeah, but. Some people have asked me, why would you be in such a chat where it's just like hurling abuse at each other and all that? I was just like, man, to be honest, half of it is the aspect of I know I'll get checked when I get out of line. Mm-hmm. Like if I've done something where I was feeling myself too much or I was doing something that was carrying on about my personal wealth or worth or whatever it is, and I was too far across on one side, it wouldn't matter whether I'd won $1 billion or I'd landed the best deal in marketing or whatever it is. Those words would still say, "Hey, shut up."
Yourself,
it doesn't matter, and you need both. Like the one thing that I've really gravitated towards, where I've gone, why have I ended up in a position where I'll never ever beat myself in a fight, business dealing. The person may beat me for sure. Like people are more skilled. I have that
same feeling.
Yeah, people are more skilled. People are more experienced. Some people are just better. Yeah. And that everyone has that one person, whatever it may be, that they just can't get. Like it's just the laws of nature have made that person one step ahead of you or whatever it is, and you keep trying, they keep pushing you, you keep getting better, but for whatever reason there's just certain people that always get you, and there's certain people you always get, like just the style of whatever it is, and that's the same with business. But I've always said whoever it is I'm going against will have to beat me, because I'll never beat myself. It's the one thing that I've always 100% believed, that it could be the very best in the world, could be the very worst in the world, but if they win, I'll 100% make sure they earned it, because it won't be me just giving up on myself. Like I will never ever just look inside and just go, just give up, like just quit now, because probably due to my parents, like that's just not a inbuilt mechanism that I have, and I would just never ever, just wouldn't sleep at night. The times that it's happened as a kid, I even remember from such a young age, just because that shit haunts you. That shit can like really, really haunts me on any time I felt like I didn't give the very best of myself, which is probably the thing that, rolling back to what we were talking about, whether it's ego or self-pride or respect, you need to have that, because if you beat yourself, well then fuck, the world as we are all experiencing right now is fucking hard as shit anyhow. That you're just going to keep getting beaten day in, day out, and it's just going to be this repetitive cycle that it's going to be hard to break.
Dude, I know when I'm getting an ego in the negative sense of the word, and like the gym is a great place for this, is when I'll like avoid somebody. Yeah. If I have an inclination to avoid somebody that I know for a fact that's my ego, and I fucking try so hard to just line that person up. Yeah. And just go, if I get fucked up, I get fucked up. That's it. But it's normally, it's like, even, you know, like you get like a crazy fucking spazzy white belt dude where you're just like, I don't know what this fucking dude's gonna do, you know? I mean, that's probably not the case. It's more of like, if I have like there's like a couple of high belts in our gym that I have like rivalries with, where it's like, it's uncomfortable. Like it's to the point where I don't enjoy the experience, but I know that part of that uncomfortability is my ego, and I don't want to lose to that person so bad that it's gives me a negative feeling, like I want to back out of even engaging with that person, and I do not like that, because that then speaks to what you just said, and that's me beating myself. That's me not even giving myself a chance to beat that other person and come out on top of that rivalry. And it's like when we were talking about before, like stacking the chips, like this is the way I've always thought about it. You got a yes and you got a no, or you got a positive and you got a negative. If you instantly go to the negative, then it's a 100% chance that the outcome is negative. But if you choose to go on a positive sense, there's still only two options. The outcome is not certain that it will be positive, but you've got a 50-50 chance.
For sure.
50-50.
Laws of probability.
Exactly. And you always fucking would rather have a 50-50 chance than a 0% chance.
That's exactly right. I think, funnily enough, I never really have an ego come out of me in the physical form. Like if we're... Mainly that's because like it's very easy with someone generally that is studying whatever their martial art is, call it jiu-jitsu or boxing or whatever, that if that person's been doing it longer, more experienced and studying it more, they're probably going to get you. Like
I don't have that. Yeah. I think everybody is like fucking fair game.
Nah, man. I honestly, maybe it's just because like I'll go to training and then I'll go with someone, because I try to do everything. Like I try my best to get to every single discipline, be it jiu-jitsu in a gi on a Tuesday morning, or wrestling on a Friday afternoon, or straight striking on a Thursday afternoon. I just want to try to be as well-rounded as possible, that will go from a kid that's never done it, so obviously how's that going to work out? He's never ever done it before, to Elliot Compton, that's one of the best strikers in the world, that'll just like punch holes in me, that I just take it, I don't know, for in the physical aspect, for what it's worth. I think in business is a time where it gets drawn out of me, where I think it has to do, actually it definitely does now that I'm actually talking about it, has to do with, I feel a lot of times when I see someone acting in a manner that is unethical or is, I guess, instantly almost grab towards it, like this person's trying to take food away from my family by doing something that is shit, that is whatever it may be. And then I feel it like start coming out of me like, fuck, I'll show this person. But I'm like, hold on a second, this isn't about them versus me. This may just be about their perspective, that they think this was the right way to do it. I think this, maybe we should communicate and meet somewhere in the middle. But that's the times where I instantly like fucking like have to pull myself back. Miles probably attest to that they're the times where I'm just like, that's when it comes out of me the most, because I feel when it's just me, like referring to me personally, if someone taps me, knocks me out, breaks a bone, it's me, like I can deal with that. But when I feel like someone's taking away from
your family,
the employees, our community, all the things that I like put in front of myself, like I'm the last to be fed, and those are the people that, whether it be a friend, an employee, a family, staff member at the gym, that I view it as them taking away from them when they're trying to take away from things that we've really built. That's when I feel it really start to come out of me, that I'm like, check yourself, you're kind of being a douche right now. They're obviously not looking at it from that aspect. They're looking at it as in, they're trying to earn $1, whatever it may be. And it's not about maybe you versus them or your company versus them. It's more about how can we align and see eye to eye to move forward together. By far the thing I have to work on the most. I see it happen to me, not all the time, but
as a person with high standards, that's a part of you that you'd like to
that I need to 100% improve upon, because sometimes I've let it run too far and it's like just got me in more trouble. And I've just like learnt lessons from that it's not about you proving something to that person that you were right, which like I'll go, sweet, I was right, but what did it equate to? Again,
it's doing something for like an external reason.
Exactly. It didn't equate to us working together, didn't equate to us generating more income for the business or the overall venture of what we were doing. Yes, eventuated with me going, I was right. Vendetta, so that achieved nothing really.
I think that I've been trying to think about more, because like you do need that, like we've just said, you know, you do need that ego, and you need to have like that part of you and like that dog to like drive forward. And for me, like my ego in that sense was something that did let me get good at jiu-jitsu quickly, because like that was a drive, man. Like there was a push there. But then as the further that it went along, I realized, and especially with this injury that I've got, like to not be able to roll, like you know how much I fucking would roll and how much I love it. And to have that taken away, I was like, man, I'd like literally never do a competition again. I'd never do, if someone just said like you can roll forever and not get injured, I'd be like, fuck, I don't need to do any, I just want to do it. And then I got to that place where it's like, okay, the ego can be good to help you push forward, but it's not why you're doing this. Like to me, in a sense, and like that's why even lately I've like enjoyed thinking about my house as like that monastery kind of deal, because it's like I kind of feel like you need to, the ego has to be like this character. It's almost like a mask that you put out into the world in times when you need that. Like you need to be propelled forward. Like you need to, I don't know. It's hard to explain. It's like this person that has to be in the cupboard that you've got complete control over, and then you put it on like an Iron Man suit, and then you go out and you do that shit. But you cannot live in that suit.
Exactly.
You have to be able to fucking manually press the button that deactivates that suit, and then you have to step outside of it, and then you have to go back inside. And that when you're out of that suit, you have to be like humble and gracious and caring. And I love what you said about putting people before yourself. Like there should be a list of people that come before you.
If they're not, then what are you doing? Like if everyone's behind you, what are you actually doing in this earth? To me anyway, like that's just like, you're here to just for self-fulfillment and to take. Like, man, everyone's in front of me that are close to me. If someone's close to you and they're not in front of you, then
they're just there as like an accessory to your life.
Like that's fucking weird. To me, that'd be like really, really strange that if you sat down and you said, man, that would be mind-blowing to me. Like that you don't hold your wife, family, kids, best friends.
I feel like you'd be surprised then at how many people fucking don't do that, because I'm thinking about it even in my life that I'm probably not the best at that all the time.
It's a hard thing to say that you're the best at it all the time, and that's also not to me to say that you don't look after yourself.
I know what you're saying.
But if you're like,
there's been times where like I just have lived in that place where I like, you just kind of don't give a fuck. You're like, I'll text him back later, I'll do this. Like, it's all about you, and you can like, and that's I think what does scare me is like, I have lived in those places before where it's like you are wearing that ego suit for most of the time, and you think it's for these good reasons, but it's really not.
Man, Jay-Z actually has a line in like this song called Bam on that 444 album where he's just like, sometimes you need your ego. I'm butchering the line, but the premise of it is like to say sometimes you need it to let people know who they're fucking with. Like, don't bring that out of me, because it's not going to work out well for you. And that's all you need it there for, almost to let people know, fuck, you're not going to lay down for anyone. You're not going to like bow the knee to whoever you are. It could be absolutely anyone. It could be the President Trump or whoever it is. So don't come at me with any disrespect. And reciprocal, like you said, when they know that you're not living in that with that mask or that suit on or anything like that, where you're like like trying to be a superhero or anything, but they know not to almost cross that line. And I see people time and time again that I know personally that are just the best people in the world that get taken advantage of because they may not have the self-worth, or someone hasn't told them that you are this good at that, and intrinsically they could never build themselves up to believe it. And you look at them and go, you need, like, call it respect, call it ego, whatever you want to call it, but you need a bit of that so people stop fucking with you. Like I think we all know people that don't get treated the way they should because, and they're like some of the best people you'll ever meet, and you recognize that, and you'll often tell them that man, like, don't listen to that bullshit or whatever anyone's like trying to advise you, because you are actually that good. Like you are that good. It's just that somewhere along the road it went missing, like that spark or whatever it was, that self-belief, that
because the world can fucking beat you down.
Oh man, it fucking 100% will,
and so it should, to be honest.
Man, I can think of every time, and like you said, sometimes you need that, because the amount of times that I sat there just going, one thing after the other has gone against you, back to back to back to back to back. Like 2019 was by far one of the hardest years I've had. It was like quicksand almost, like just fighting for everything, every single thing, and nothing was going right. And I was just sitting there just going, I'm stacking every chip that I can possibly think of. And you guys were
still going hard.
Yeah,
like,
man.
Even, like, you're pushing through it.
Yeah, I was just going, it has to turn. It has to, like, it was just like my belief or faith in that you're working hard, you're not fucking anyone over, just keep going at that, and then it'll have to turn. One of the bad things I was doing was thinking, like, I wasn't putting a timeline on it, but at the same time I was just going, this 2019 year is being a fucking bitch, but I kept referring to it as a year rather than just thinking about
like the new normal.
Yeah, this is just a linear, who knows how long, maybe it goes till 2025 or whatever it is. And then as soon as literally, like, one of my New Year's resolutions, as soon as the clock ticked over, I was just like, that year I kept referring to, like, fuck, things keep going wrong. Even though I was positive about it, that I'm just going to keep working hard and doing it, but I was still living in the aspect of going, this year things aren't going right, rather than just going, I'm working really hard and my luck is going to turn somewhere. who knows when, could be 15 years from now. As soon as I change that, even amongst COVID and all that type of stuff, by far this year has been 1,000 times better for me than last year. Personally, relationship wise, everything. And that's saying something when like so many business, like the gym shut down.
Yeah.
Like that. And that's like my happy place. And all the boys that I train with there are like,
yeah, that's like a part of your energy.
Yeah, that's like my family. And to say that even when that happens, and to go into my office where there's nobody there, like literally it's just me sitting there working away and seeing all these people not doing the best and struggling at times like this, and my kids not getting to play, my wife being scared and all that, I still have a better outlook and feel better about this than what I did last year.
And so what do you think that is?
I think it was just literally
the mindset.
Yeah, I think it was just removing the aspect of thinking of things of years. And I had done that for a long period of time. Like in this year, I'm going to do this. And then next year, I'm going to do this. And then 2022, I'm going to do this, compared to just going, this journey is infinity until obviously my number is up. I'm just going to put in as much as I possibly can, and enjoy as much as I possibly can of the people that I care about. And whatever happens from there, all I've done is put everything in my favor, and any negatives that come along the way, I couldn't have prevented that. Like I can't prevent those things, but all I've done is just not think of things of like little crazy time points, because when you ultimately look at it, I don't think people are going to sit there just going, in 360, people think of things as a year, but if you said in 365 days, I have to have achieved this, that's kind of a weird expectation to put on yourself, rather than just going, I'm just going to do my very best with what I've got at this time. And it just made the last 4 months feel better, and things have worked out for me way better. There was periods of time over that other period where clearly during like earlier years prior COVID, prior 2019 and everything, where I had way more money, had way more things going on, technically probably thought to be in a better position, but was fucking hating everything around me, hating the people I was surrounded by, hating so much.
Yeah, because you like did a pretty big change, right? Like what was that change like?
Yeah, so I
sort of half think I know. Like,
yeah, so I was after footy, I was working for a company called Body Science, and then I was there for a long period of time and did heaps there. It was a supplement company, which is where I got the supplement type of background, sports nutrition background from, and that was awesome. But I kind of grew weary of that and wanted to do food. So then I started a restaurant in Mermaid called Biscuit, with business partners. 2 of them were Titans boys, that I played footy with, Greg Bird and Josh Graham. Another was a business associate that I'd done stuff with at prior companies, Danny, and then ran the restaurant for that period. And it was just, honestly, part of it was right timing. Social media and everything just blew up at one time, and Gold Coast had nothing when it came to like cool cafe concepts. And being a Melbourne kid, I was just like, how hard can this be to like, it's good cafes everywhere, I'll just bring one here type of thing. And I just picked the best things of what I liked on different cafes, put it in. Mermaid was next to the beach. It's kind of set up for it to go really well, but it blew up probably more than I expected. And I never had the intention. I'm not a restaurateur. I'm just a guy that likes brands and concepts and cool ideas and brings the people together and tries to make a team. So I did that, and then that led to other offshoot businesses starting from there, just caught fire. Then there was Cocoa Whip, which is a vegan ice cream that we served there, and people were just like, hey, I want this in my cafe, We're like, cool, there's a business in this. Like, then people were like, I want your granola in my cafe and that chocolate that you guys make in my cafe. And I was like, all right. So took a pivot, jumped out of the restaurant side of stuff and went into more placing the products into all these other people's cafes. So I sat more on the biscuit whole foods side of stuff. Danny sat on more of the Cocoa Whip. So Cocoa Whip was a vegan soft serve ice cream. Biscuit Whole Foods was the retail range of granola and chocolate and all that type of stuff. And then it just kept growing and growing and growing, and that was awesome. But man, it just got to a point where the grind of hospitality, staff, and not being fully present in the restaurant, doing all the other things. And
it kind of took the original fun out of it.
It did. Yeah. And it was just a case of like one day sitting there just going, man, what am I actually doing here? Like kind of like just this awakening of just like, yeah, sure, things are great financially, type of thing, but I'm fucking hating.
Just cooked.
Yeah, I'm just hating what I'm doing in terms of the aspect of I'm not giving 100% to the restaurant. I'm spreading myself too thin with a couple of these other things, but really what was my actual passion in terms of why I started Biscuit and all that type of stuff. And I was like, it was just because I like to create cool products and concepts that other people will like and join me in that journey and mission. At that same time, just randomly, we had to shoot an ad, like a video ad for Whole Foods in the States.
Oh yeah, were you guys in there?
Yeah, we're in the
really?
Yeah, we're in the original one in Austin for the with Cocoa with the vegan ice cream. And I was just like, man, who do I know that shoots content? And I was like, Miles does. And I just started training.
How'd you meet Miles?
So I met him through Body Science. So the company I was talking about, he was shooting content. I was a manager of that company. So he was shooting content for them. And I was like watching their Instagram and social media for a while. And I hadn't been there maybe 2 years, 3 years or something like that. I was like, fuck, this content is looking awesome, like looking really, really good. But I didn't think anything of it. I was just like, they're doing a great job. And then left it at that. And then I was going for a run from Biscuit, actually. Like I'd literally done a shift and it was on the beach. So I used to do a run down to North Burleigh, go around the headland and come back. Yeah. I was going for a run and I saw two of the guys that I worked with at Body Science. And they were like, hey, we're doing a photo shoot at one of the houses that was just on the beachfront. I said, oh, I'll come in and say hi to everyone. Went in and said hi. Miles was the one shooting all the content. I was like, oh, this is the guy that's doing all this fucking great content for this company. Like I need to connect with him because I need good content. Particularly now we're going to be doing this Whole Foods thing. I didn't know really where to look to get this content like done. So I just reached out to him and I said, hey man, like I really reckon you're doing great shit. Would love if you could do something for Biscuit and Cocoa Whip. And he came and did some shit that was just fire. Like absolute fire. Like I was so into it that I was just like, man, this is the shit that
this was exciting to
this
you.
Is what's exciting to me. I don't care about like the cogs of 3 poached eggs compared to that toast and that chick screaming that my coffee isn't 65 degrees and whatever it is, all the other shit that you probably know about at hospitality. I care about putting out this great story and message on a channel that heaps of people can see and helping other businesses do the same thing. So instantly from there, I was like looking at that going, this shit is sick. Can you do more stuff with me? And then at that time I was just staying fit, running and doing all that type of stuff. And then he told me he had a martial arts gym. And then I was like, oh fuck, may as well give that a go. Like, why not type of thing. I'd done it at a few other places. And I was just like, but the problem is I have these businesses that start gearing up straight away from 6 a.m. If there isn't an early class, I've got kids. I'm not going to get there at 5. Like kids are my priorities after 5. Before that, it's work. And if I can get something in, I'll wake up at 3 a.m. to train, but I need to have somewhere to go. So I told him that. I said, man, you don't have early classes, but it's cool. Don't worry about it. And then he was just like, man, I'll start an early class. I'll just come roll with you at 5 a.m. Never in a million years did I actually think he was going to do it. Because there's no class timetable. There's no financial gain. There's nothing that he was going to get from it, apart from training me, a random that's useless and new to this.
Like
like he gains zero. Literally, there was zero gain he could come from it. And so I went, we'll try it. And I was like, kind of like almost just like, yeah, we'll see how long this lasts. He'll come to one, then he'll stop going. Also, to Miles' credit, he is not a morning person.
No.
Since
he's
we've
been late for everyone else going to.
Since we've like got coaches at Combat Training Centre, I reckon he's been to like 2 mornings, because he mornings isn't his thing, nights is his thing. Like
I'm similar.
Yeah, he'll go late. So not only was he gaining nothing out of it, he was completely readjusting his life. I could tell, because he would like be woozy like by the time he got there. But I'm a morning person, so it was completely different. I was like, man, like 1 month went past, he went to every single session with me. 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. No one else is really there at this stage. And then I said, man, like, let's get some other people. I talked to Brocky, then he knew Daz. Then all of a sudden, all these other people like, man, there's a morning 5 a.m. type of class. I'll do that because I have kids and similar type of thing, or I'm a tradie and stuff.
Well, that's the times I've gone, because like I know I can't get to my gym. I know I won't be able to get there. So I'm like, okay, well, I either go here or I don't train.
Yeah, so he just kept going. I was like, man, there is something to be said for someone that has kept their word, that had nothing to gain from this. And also on top of that, I absolutely love the work that they do. So I love the work that they do, and I respect their work ethic and them giving me so much value of their time without wanting anything back. Never ever once was there like a, hey, like pay me a private fee or pay me anything. It was just like straight giving, that I said, man, if there's ever an opportunity that I could come onto your business, I will 100% find a way to get rid of the other businesses to come into your business. And his business at the time was called Athletic Agencies, which is still the trading company of ours, now called Hype. And then he was just like randomly, like I didn't expect anything to really come from it. I kind of just put it out there because I was really interested, but I didn't expect that he needed anything. He was just like, man, I could really use someone with your skill set. I'm like, my skill set, I'm in hospitality. What could I do in specifically, like, you shoot content. I don't know how to use a camera. I don't like all these things. He's like, nah, you look at products and all these things differently to how I do. I was like, man, if you think there's something, I'm 100% keen. And then literally from there, I was just like, cool. My now goal is I want out of all that stuff that I'm not enjoying with like certain like grievances at that day dot. I decided to cut that and then started moving all my energy into this
Did you
space.
still have ownership over some of those companies? Or?
Yeah, I had ownership over all of them.
Yeah.
But I had partners. So,
so you just left as like a working partner.
Yeah, so it was kind of a case of, for a long period, I wanted to sell, but not everyone else wanted to sell. But then there was still stuff that I couldn't just walk away and say, yeah, I resign as a director and you take it. I was like, worked too hard to just evaporate all this. So it was literally Jan 1 this year was the sale of the last bit of that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I still was like going through and I still have to go through more legal stuff, but it took that long to really get all removed from there. And whilst we were at Hype, that was obviously where he was like, man, like I'm constantly sore, I'm doing this, I'm in pain, like with training as much as all the boys do. I was just like, why isn't there a supplement that helps combat athletes? So like I've done so many supplements, I've never seen one that's actually helping people in this sport specifically. So like, do you know of one? I said, I'm a rookie at this, I've been doing it a hot minute. He's like, no, there isn't. I said, do you know why? And then he's like, no. I was like, why don't we do one? Type of thing. I was like, it just kind of made sense. Like, why don't we have something that's going to help our training? Like it wasn't anything further than thinking that. And then it led to obviously Combat, and then Combat led to Combat Training Centre, and then they both tie in, and obviously Hype does the marketing for it. But yeah, that was like the full
and have you
360.
like, I mean, well, I know the answer, but like how did the you enjoy what you do now so much.
Yeah.
But like, what was the shit that changed that like let you enjoy Hype Group and combat so much more than where you were?
Man, I think it was really probably understanding that it was all right. Like when you're engaged in so much and just working and working and working, it's often hard to relate to a lot of people basically that are coming at you with their problems, and you've got your own problems, but you're trying to help them as well, because naturally they're coming to you because they need help. And there was like a period of time I was just going, man, the fuck is like going on, where people are coming to me with their problems, I have my problems, no one's helping me with my problems, I'm just getting compounded on. And it was just, I just started going, all that's happening at the moment is more shit's getting piled on top of me. I may help a few people here and there, and I'm getting through this, but at some stage this weight is just getting more and more and more, and I'm not unloading it in any way. I'm just taking on more baggage, I'm taking on more weight, and I'm missing like important aspects of just happiness that are simple, the most simplest things I would like skip out on just because I was in whatever like
mode
just
that is,
I was just so entrenched in it. And then it was probably when I was just like made that linear shift to go, all I'm going to do now to the day I die is, if something isn't the right fit and it doesn't feel good, I've got to get rid of it. And if I get rid of it, then I'll be fine. But if I'm the one that chooses to keep it in my life, that's on me. Like,
so what's the process of not being like some wishy-washy flake that gives up when shit gets hard? Like, do you just trust yourself that you know that you're not a quitter, essentially? Because I feel like I can kind of relate in a way, man, like with the way that I got out of the film stuff. Like it just didn't fulfill me in the same way. And it's funny now, like with the YouTube shit that I'm doing here and the trips we're going, like it's fun to me now. I've found the reason it's fun. But I think that when I think about it, I'm like, because the outside perception is like, oh, he's just flaky, he doesn't want to do this. And I'm like, well, fuck, man, I think about the grinding that I've done. I think about the trenches that I have been in and how long I stayed in those things. That, I think, is what gives me the confidence to not feel wishy-washy. I wonder if it's the same.
No, it's 100% that. It's the fact that, man, I can 100% say, if you can 100% say, look at yourself and go, man, I gave my absolute everything to whatever that was, whether it was the thing that fulfilled me or didn't fulfill me. I've done and tried so many different things that I can say, like with footy, man, I've got that many scars and this ringing that's happening in my left finger now that will stay there forever because I tried to give it my absolute all and it wasn't right. It just wasn't the thing that connected for me properly. But I know during that period of time,
you worked your ass off.
I tried everything I possibly could to make that happen. Like I was working, going to uni and playing footy because I knew I had to do all those things, but I gave it whatever I could. So if it doesn't work, I can always live with that. I think I've done enough things now to know instantly when something's not right or when something doesn't fit. The people that just like kind of hop in, hop out and don't really know, and they, like you refer to, flaky, are the people that haven't gone through a full...
They've never gone all the way with something.
No, you've never gone all in.
Yeah.
And if you've never gone all in, you will never fully know, because how do you, like they talk about your gut instinct.
Yeah.
You get a gut instinct from just doing things repetitively over and over again, that you develop a gut that goes, that's right. Like you just know, after a while you just go. It's why the very best people in business are so good, is because their gut's 99% of the time right, because they've experienced it.
They've been through so much.
They've been through everything. There hasn't been something they haven't seen. I haven't seen enough yet, but I've seen probably a lot more than people at my age that I can go, I can take this knowledge and go, instantly, that's not right. It doesn't feel right. The puzzle won't fit. Yeah. Because I've been through something of similar nature to say that if you just like go, nut, quit, then you are just being flaky because you haven't gone through, like you said, going to live in America on the bones of your ass, traveling from place to place to place to place, doing shoot after shoot after shoot, edit after edit after edit in this crazy grind that not many people will understand. But now that you've done that, you come here and go, I want to do this, and then you've earned that right. Like you've 100% earned the right to say, this is what I'm doing and this is how I'm going to do it because I know the process I've been through. You can't lie to yourself. Like you 100% know whether you've actually done the work or you haven't. That's one person you'll never be able to fool with that.
There's definitely a part of me though that knows that towards the end in America I didn't work as hard as I should have.
Yeah.
And that, I think that's probably the one thing that does give you doubts. And that's the one thing I try and go back on is like, at the end of it, I was just lost. Like, I just feel like I'd bang my head against the wall. But I mean, I look now, like I just didn't know enough. Like, and I didn't do enough of the right things for me personally. Yeah. Like, and again, that's just kind of learning.
Yeah, man.
But I do know that like when the time come, like, to work. Like I remember I flew back from when my kidney surgery went down, and I flew back because we had this huge fucking project, and I walked 22 miles at 15,000 feet altitude in 3 days with cameras all over me, you know, and it killed me. I was pissing blood every day. And it's like, I know that when the fucking hammer went down and like I had to work, I did. But the doubt in me comes from the times where like I just coasted. I just I kind of just gave up in a sense, in some senses. And then that's what was like, I think too, the other unique thing for me with that situation was like, I never really was all in on like being in America forever. I think I needed to have like that attitude of like, I'm just here now. I'm going to make, I always had this idea. And again, this is like that all in thing, right? I always had the idea that I was going to go make a bunch of money and then come home. And like, that was just dumb. Like, as I look back at it now, like it's retarded. And I think there was parts of me that like, I didn't want to tell my family that I wasn't coming back. I didn't want to tell my friends. I didn't want to marry an American chick. And there was all this shit that I like was kind of keeping me like half of me here in a way. And I think that's probably another thing that fucked me. And again, it sort of speaks to what you said. It's like, you have to go all in. Like,
man.
I was all in terms of like how hard I would work on the day when I had to work. But on actually just like living there and like having a happy life there. Like, I wasn't convinced I could have a happy life there. Fucking what happened? I couldn't have a happy life there.
That little bit of doubt that was there. Man, everyone has that too. Like, I can't say that I haven't had doubts with,
I'm sure you would have, dude.
A million different projects, and the ones that have probably come off are the ones that I had the least amount of doubt. Just that confidence comes across in the final product.
Yeah, for sure.
The ones where there's been a bit of hesitation are probably the ones that have been
gut instinct.
Haven't been right there.
So with the what was the Combat Strong thing that you guys did once all this COVID shit started going down?
Man, it was just a campaign and initiative where we were just like, obviously our gym shut. But we weren't the only people to shut. We were just a case of, we have a vehicle as a brand, but we just said, what can we do outside of these walls that can help all the gyms? So you probably know that we're not a traditional type of, this is our gym and our territory. It's like almost everyone's all inclusive to, you want to come there and open mat, come there. You want to train in Galeb, Southside, wherever. We all just want to be under one banner where we can learn from each other. So our real heart in this whole thing was just like, man, that would be super hard for Freestyle Fight Gym in Wollongong that shut down, or that would be really hard for Galeb Bros or anything.
We're shut,
why don't we do something where we create like an initiative where everyone can represent their gym and donate money back to their gym by buying something that refers to the combat community staying strong together. So that was where we just came up with the initiative and started pushing people to go down that line.
And so how's it work?
Give me one sec, man. I need to go to the toilet.
Yeah.
Busted.
So how does it work?
So the initiative.
I'll pull this back to you.
Oh yeah, sweet. The initiative basically works. So if you hopped on cmbt.com.au, and then there's basically a banner and everything that says the Combat Strong packs or a shirt or anything. So we tiered it where if you buy a shirt, $10 goes to the gym of choice. So if you go to checkout, there'll be a tab that says what gym is your combat gym.
Yeah.
You type in the name, so it's Gala Bros. They buy a shirt. We donate $10 at the end of the month. We total everyone that comes through and send it to that specific gym.
Yeah.
If you buy a supplement with that shirt, then it's $15. And if you buy a whole pack, like there's an elite pack, it's $20. So we just tiered that out, and you just nominate your gym and we send the dollars across.
That's sick. And so when did you guys start thinking of that?
Man, it was all...
Was it something you guys were going to do before the COVID thing even happened?
So we had been trying to work out an initiative to do, and I had been big on wanting to like get martial arts into Africa. And I've got some mates that are doing it over there.
Really?
Yeah, so shout out to Musa.
What country in Africa?
So he's doing shit in Senegal. And he's like, man, as you've seen, like the rise of Africans in martial arts style, like because it just makes sense. Like naturally, the gifts that you're given being African kind of just translate towards the sport. So
they're fucking warriors. Like that's not very far removed from the culture, and not at all removed from the culture in some places.
Yeah, exactly. So if you've got the welterweight and middleweight champion of the world, both being from Nigeria, west of Africa, you just kind of go, and that's the sport isn't done there. It's actually physically not. It's not a sport there. But those guys are just absolute weapons that immigrated or moved to New Zealand, America, get a skill in wrestling, get a skill in striking, and then obviously bring it together over all as martial arts. And there'll be way more champions that come from the region. So
for sure,
that was why originally I had that, but to be honest, like that was me just thinking too far ahead. And at the end of the day, getting to Africa is one of the most expensive processes to get to any country in the world, that it was just like, how can we act more local rather than just thinking of we have to help all these people. And don't get me wrong, helping all people back in the homeland and stuff is something that will one day get to for sure, 100%. But
what's your descent then from Africa?
From Ghana.
Oh, so you are from Ghana?
Yeah. And so it wasn't like just thinking, rather than thinking about everyone that's over there, there's people immediately here that are hurting. And man, every gym I've gone to, whether this is right or wrong, I don't know whether it's actually true, has been awesome. Yeah. Like every other martial arts gym I've gone to, whether it be in Japan, whether it be Absolute in Melbourne, whether it be like Fight Club in Miami, I've like really enjoyed every place I've gone to. So I could only imagine what those members would be like. Like their home has literally been just like pulled out from underneath them. And that was the only, during this whole time, during this COVID situation, that I felt like somewhat like upset. Like the last time, because we've got a coffee cart at the gym that all the boys grab a coffee with after it, and they made that announcement that Monday midday gym shut. I just remember sitting there with like all the morning squad and just looking at each other just going, who knows when we'll do this again? Like this was just such a ritual that it was just like, wake up 4:30, get to the mats 5 a.m, do that, talk shit with the lads 6 a.m, have a coffee, shower, go to work. But that was like always one of the best parts of the day, where it was just that 1 hour and a half that was for you, and everyone would have that in their own gym. That I was just like, this would be the biggest shame out of all this that goes wrong for
all these gyms closed down.
Exactly. If they go through this period and it's their landlords don't give them a break, because we didn't know what the rulings were going to be at this stage when we like heard this. So it was just like, you shut down. No, we can't tell you when you're allowed to reopen. Yes, you have to keep paying your bills, obviously, whether that be feeding yourself or feeding your coaches and all that other type of stuff. So is it 1 month? Is it 6 months? Is it 9 months? No one actually really knows. So we were just like, I was like talking to Miles about it after that Monday had happened. I was like, man, we have to do something, not specifically for, obviously we could just sell the shirts and pocket the money and just put it back into combat training centre, and then everyone go, yeah, the gym's back, and we were able to keep afloat. But I was like, if the other gyms don't make it through this, and we sure as shit will make it through it ourselves, we'd never let that die, then it's the like biggest tragedy that could have happened, because other people, for you for example, would have lost all your community.
Miss those motherfuckers.
Oh man, of course you do.
Every day, it's crazy.
Yeah,
like, that's your church. Man.
Yeah. Oh man, it's religion. Like, it's the one time where it's like none of the other stuff matters. You've got that hour with like-minded people that you respect. They respect you. It's the one place where everything is basically done right. Pretty much everywhere else in the world, things are just done.
It's so fucking true though. Dude. You are right. Like, and it's because of the martial art itself. Yeah. Because everyone knows where they stand.
Exactly.
Everyone puts their water bottles in the same spot. Like, and then if you're new and you walk in the gym and it's day one, like, you walk around my shit. Yeah. You walk around my shit. Yeah. You walk around me. Because out of respect. Yeah. You go like, this dude knows shit I don't. Yeah. And then there's people that are there before me, and I walk around their shit. Yeah. And I fucking have crazy respect for them, and they respect my effort.
Exactly. You know? And it's just such a leveler where, man, someone could pull up in a Bentley wearing that 90 grand Rolex or whatever it is. The moment they walk through there, nothing else matters.
No one gives a fuck.
No one cares. The same way someone could walk in there and have literally zero to themselves, but they walk in there. That person could be a black belt, and they're the most respected person. God. Yeah, they're the most respected person in there, not because of an ego, but because that person's worked and spent the most time on the mat and passed on so much knowledge to everyone else that's there. And that's what life should be. So for everyone that gets to experience that for hour and a half, or whatever it is a day, some people, that's why people live in a gym. Like, that's why people literally, I could very easily foresee myself, if I didn't have wife and a kid and stuff, just living there.
Dude, I could do it so easy too.
I wouldn't even think twice about it. You should see how hard I tried to extend the mez. If you know where our change rooms is. Yeah. I kept talking to Daz about it, like, to structurally support that we could just keep building across, like literally above the cage. Yeah. Like, keep going around there with supports. He's like, what are you talking about? Why would you do that? I was like, so we could get accommodation in there. He's like, are you mad? And I'm like, we've got a kitchen, we've got a shower and a toilet. That's like heaven. Like, what could be better? He's just like looking at me like a psychopath. But I could just easily, because none of the bullshit matters. Exactly. And it's just like so right there that the first thing I thought of was, obviously we're about to lose this and we don't know how long for. The second thing I thought of was, how many other thousands and thousands of people are feeling the exact same way I am after Scott Morrison said that thing of midday. Well, we can feel like that for a small bit, like a short period, but if we don't do something about it, well then, what are we actually doing? I don't expect this money that we're raising. Sure, we've raised thousands so far and everything like that, but it's across whoever nominates their gym is where the funds are going. I'm not expecting that we're going to say, if a gym was like literally going to close anyhow, it's not like we're going to give them a $200 check or something like that from the money that's come in, and they just go, sweet, that saves us. But what I do think it does for me that was big was show people that we're not just about trying to look after our own gym. This thing has to be bigger than us intrinsically just in these walls, because everyone respects, well, they should, in combat sports, the person that's done something no matter where they are. If a black belt from Southside came to Gala Bros, you guys would be like, fuck.
He'd be respected as a black belt.
Exactly. And it wouldn't matter if it was he went there or someone, a black belt from combat, went to your gym, or vice versa, when your guys come to our gym, or whatever it looks like. The respect is equal worldwide, like not just within your gyms locally. So how can we try and bring everyone together to realize that it's not an us versus them type of situation during this. It's all of us just want our gyms to open again. That was the whole premise around why it was so important to try and get this message out. So, man, it's been awesome. It hasn't been awesome not training, but the response has been great. And I think it's definitely helped remove barriers around like a gang mentality of gyms that had like started kind of breeding like, my gym's this gym and I can't associate with this guy from this gym because he's a betrayer and loyalty to that gym and so forth. So I think it's pulled that down a bit, which was another good thing about how it's come about just organically. So it's been cool.
It's crazy, man. I think like that's one of the positive things that's going to come out of this whole situation in general is that like as a society we have the ability now, like the onus on the individual as just like this sole entity that can get through life on their own.
Yeah.
Like I don't need you to get through my life.
Yeah.
I don't need my brother. I don't need a car.
Yeah.
I don't need fucking anything. If I got enough money in my bank and a phone, I can do whatever the fuck I want, basically. And it's like, that's great in one sense of the word. But in the other sense of the word, when something like this happens and you realize that, fuck, I do need people to get by. I need relationships. I need good conversation.
Yeah.
I need these things. I need my gym. I need community. Yeah. Then this is like a reality check. And I think that if you extend it out even further, then it's like, we're never really, like when you said SARS happened, that's a China problem.
Yeah.
When malaria happens, that's an Africa problem. But it's like, there hasn't been like a world problem like this that's, I guess, affected people's mortality in this way. And the president can get it, a bum can get it. But I think that there will be, that comes out of this, like a real overwhelming sense of like a global community. Yeah. And I think that will just filter down into like, gyms will probably want to get along because it's just more about survival. Yeah,
agreed, man. I think, and we're probably two of the only people that are talking about this stuff in a positive. I don't think there's anything that's ever been pushed about COVID recently that's like a positive message. I feel it was like almost the leveler the world maybe needed. Like we almost needed, as a whole society, not in an individual,
just as a global community,
just as a global world, to like check yourself and just go, man, you guys have had it fucking good. Good for a period where we're obviously the first people to experience the internet. Then we're the first people to experience the smartphones. Then we're the first people to experience all these like advances, like crazy advances that I don't think there can be as big advancements as what we've experienced within a generational gap.
Well, it's got to come with consequences, right?
For sure. Like, and I'm not a religious per se person, but I think something almost kind of said, we need to maybe pump the brakes on this because you've been given so much. The people are just getting carried away with just nonsense. Like complete and utter nonsense where like you just putting up a pic of your ass somehow relates now to receiving income. That fucking doesn't make sense. I don't care whichever way you look at it, that cannot physically be a thing that can continue over and over again. Right now, that great leveler is like now saying, you put a picture of your ass up, no one gives a fuck. Yeah. Because people, people have just gone.
That was good in the time where shit was okay. But like, we're not okay now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So right here, right now, people are like genuinely scared. They're scared about their health. They're scared about earning income. They're scared about family members. So when people are scared, they naturally think of what's most important to them. And it's the things you said before. It's like your immediate community. It's like having a connection, chatting with someone about whatever it is, and removing all the layers of shit that I think have really compiled for such a long period of time, because there was nothing to check it. Like what was stopping it, really? Like when you think about it, we were just going at this rapid rate of things are getting more expensive. The internet like does this. The media can do whatever it want. Government will do this. There was nothing to halt anything.
Yeah.
It just felt like you were almost on this freight train just going.
Yeah. Well, the crazy thing is like biologically, we're not different.
Yeah.
But you look at in terms of like, let's talk about evolution, and it's like, let's talk about evolution along like these different tracks, and it's like you got a biological evolution that was stopped when we were all essentially still fucking monkeys.
Yeah.
Really, like all coming from the same place. Like we're not physically that much different. The only thing really that's different is like the way that our bodies have physically evolved to climate.
Yeah.
Like Russians are all white.
True.
Africans are all black.
Yeah.
Like that changed.
Yeah,
but in terms of like the people, like the species, it's still the same like thing. And that was a fucking long time ago.
Yeah.
Like biologically, like still the same. But think about the evolution that's taken place culturally. And it's like, I think it's maybe somewhere along the lines, like we lost our sense that we are still a biological thing.
Yeah.
That moves through the world and experiences other biological realities in the same way. And I think we lost sight of that.
Man, it's
in a way.
100% right. And it's easy to as well. You can see how it's easy to. You can see that you're living your life within this phone.
Yep.
Like that doesn't feel human.
Yep.
Really, at the end of the day. And I think that's probably why everyone that isn't able to do the things that they love being exercise, I reckon if they really do a study on it, which I don't know how they do that, but if they did do a study on it, it's not the actual physical movement, like the sweat and stuff they miss. It's probably like a primal instinct of going, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, and rolling around with another human and training and learning and engaging with that person is more important for my being and my soul than any computer, laptop, phone could ever be, which is why I'm just like, man, I'm still training as much as possible, but it's fucking not the same. It's really like going into this massive gym and hitting a bag and then trying to do like mobility drills and then lifting weights. It's good, but I can tell you it's just there's no way to replicate it. Like it's the one thing that you can't really replicate in any manner.
And there's like this fucking collective, like it's like, call it a vibe.
Yeah.
There's a vibe. That's not a thing that you can measure. Yeah. You can't put it in a cup. You can't. But it's like we need that shit. We need like people's energy. We need to feel like that kind of connection. And yeah, like that. When I'm doing jiu-jitsu, like I have completely faceless opponents.
Yeah.
Like I'm in just this different blank gone space where like I'm just so fucking focused on my jiu-jitsu. Yeah. And like I don't care. Like literally nothing matters. Yeah. Like even the other person doesn't matter. Like I'm just doing the thing. Yeah. Not that they don't matter in a negative way. Like fuck them. It's like that's the place I go to. Yeah. Like I'm fucking Gornskis, bro. Like I'm not in the same room as anyone else, and I love that shit. But it's like you can't. Yeah, that takes like people. That takes, and I think again, it's like that biology thing. Like there is some like, it's a blink of an eye from when we were tribal people that were like hunters and gatherers and lived in like promiscuous cultures and you know had no control. We had no control over climate. We had no control over our food. It's like all we've done over the last like few thousand years, maybe 40,000 years, is just like control, and it points away from like everything that we've done is like we've gone away from wanting to rely on other people to just wanting to be like this apex thing that like we only have to rely on ourselves. Our biology isn't made for that, bro. That's true, like man. We fucking need your biology. Like we haven't changed that much. Like we are not a computer.
For sure, man. The hard thing, the thing that I pulled back upon the most when this whole thing was going on was when they were like, taking kids out of school. I get it, man. Like, trust me, no one
kids get fucking sick as it is
yeah,
at schools.
I know. Like, the last thing I want to do, any parent wants to see, is their kid gets taken out of school. But as you know, I grew up in North Queensland too, in Mackay. So the schooling, it's like kind of it's your
tribe.
Exactly, it's your gym, it's your community. And man, I'm telling you, my son has like a memory like mine, where it's like an elephant memory. I remember playing with like Benjamin Forrester when I was 5 years old, and Kwame and stuff like that. The same way, like, he's playing with his friends Cruz, and I'm just like, I don't want to remove that. That's like the last thing out of anything that I wanted to remove. You can remove everything else, like all the other. If they said today, you have to stop phone usage because it's causing COVID to spread, we all know that's not true. But if they wanted to remove everything else, I'd be like, fine with everything. But that was the last one. I was like, oh man, that's the one I don't want to see. That's the one I don't want to see. I get social distancing and standing apart and all that type of stuff, but the one I didn't want to see was people losing their tribe, whatever that may be. It could be, you may have that at yoga, or you could have that at your gym, or you could have that at your school or your learning class, or where you go to learn Spanish or salsa dancing or anything. But that was the one I was like, if that gets taken away, it's kind of all that's left, because all the other stuff's like disappeared. All the stuff that our parents and we got to experience as a kid, and like running out and on your street and hanging out with 3 kids and going and doing things, or climbing a tree. My kids don't do that. Like, my wife would never in a million years allow my kids to just walk out to the front of the street, rightfully so, just climb their neighbour's tree and wave there, because man, the world is way different, and rightfully so, you wouldn't do that. So if that's all they've got left, and now that's removed as well, I'm just like, I want that to go back quicker than anything else. Everything else, whatever the time period it takes, is what it takes. But that's the one that I'm just like, man, like, I know within their eyes you can see it. Like, I can see it even within my youngest, it's 18 months, like him not going to daycare and just seeing other babies. You can see, like, there's an energy that they get from each other that you can't.
It's like crucial.
Yeah, man. And they do stuff together. It's like you said, that primal instinct where the teacher will turn off the lights and say, all babies go to sleep. They all just roll over and sleep. If you try to get your kid, parents would know, if you just turn off the light in the room and tell the baby to sleep without all the other ones conforming, they won't sleep. They'll just sit there. Proof. Yeah. They'll just sit there and throw something at you. But every parent right now is just going, how do these teachers teach these kids, when I've been trying to get my kid to draw the letter P and he refuses, flat out refuses. But when he's in a group where they have a common goal to do something, he's like, it's just second nature. I honestly went to this parent-teacher interview, and this teacher kept telling me about how good my son was, and I just kept going, bro, what planet are you on? Like, you don't know him. Like, he fooled you. He got you. Like, somehow he fooled you. She's like, nah. Like, in that environment, when they're in their, like, your flow state and stuff, in jiu-jitsu and stuff, they just work so well. But now they don't have that. Yeah. And that's we don't have that either. Like, we're all kind of, that's the one part I think we're all really like yearning for, to be able to do that. The first time we get back to doing anything in the gym will be like, I'll be wiping my jizz off the mats for sure, dude. I've never done like hard 2 layers of underwear. Never done a hard drug, but I imagine, like, I'm into like Russell Brand. I read his books and stuff, and his description of like taking a hit of heroin, I reckon it'd be like that. And now he does jiu-jitsu. Weird. Yeah. He's right into it. But, dude, I remember, we got to wrap this up because it's 2 hours and 59 minutes. But I remember any times I've had like layoffs from training, like even if it's just a couple weeks with like an injury or travel, the fucking high, dude. Yeah. I have done hard drugs. Yeah. And it is, man. Like, I remember getting home from
training and just being like, I'm on fucking crack, man. Like, I am on fucking crack cocaine right now. Just so pumped. Like, it's crazy, the feeling that you can get from that. And it's not just jiu-jitsu, everyone's going to have that in a bunch of different settings.
Whatever their thing is, man. It'll be good. Like, I can't wait to...
There will be good that comes out of this situation.
Man, massively.
Sure.
Like, I'm...
During and after.
Yeah, I'm enjoying whatever this is right now. I mean, how often do you get to do something undistracted? That never happens, like, for anyone in this day and age. So I'm enjoying that time, enjoying the time to get ahead.
I love that, the way you're talking about
I really think in, like, Miles is in, like, this crazy zone where he's just pumping away at this table day in, day out, pushing hard with all the brands and the companies and doing great stuff. On the other side, doing the same thing, but it was just on another tangent where I'm more the financial business side. He's more the content creation side. But man, just getting ahead during this period of time will make life, once we go back to the norm, be that much better. You'll be steps ahead. You'll feel better. You've taken advantage of opportunities and
you've leapfrogged some motherfuckers that
exactly
didn't want to do the work.
Yeah, man. So, man, pumped to see what the future lays ahead.
Well, I've been fucking stoked that we finally got to do this.
Did it?
And under strange times too.
Yeah, man.
Weird to sit and talk about so much weirdness. But
I can definitely say I've never talked about politics that much in my life, which is cool.
Yeah, it was cool to just have a yarn, because I haven't, like, man, I guess in some ways I have been in isolation from that shit. Like, I haven't fucking talked to anybody about it, you know? Like, I feel like I've just been sitting in fucking silence. So it was good to have someone that shares very similar values.
Awesome, man.
And this might be the last time we do this together.
Appreciate it, bro. Thanks for having us on.
No dramas, brother.
Cheers, man.